Okay, good evening. I call the November 12th, 2025 meeting of the DuPage County Board to order. A quorum of the members is physically present. I will entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present. All in favor? Okay. All right, I invite everyone to stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. Member Swarzy, will you please lead us in the pledge? I now invite Sarah Gorleski from the Science of Spirituality in Lisle to lead us in the invocation.
Thank you. Gracious source of strength, hope, and care, as we gather in this chamber of public trust, we recognize that those who sit here carry the weight of many concerns: families seeking safety, communities seeking stability, and a county seeking direction in uncertain times. The decisions made affect people who are anxious, people who feel unseen, and people who rely on leaders to help them navigate difficult waters. In moments like these, when the ship feels caught in many storms, may we remember that reassurance comes not only from policy, nor solely from human leadership, but from the deeper grounding that comes when we turn toward the divine and steady ourselves from within. May our choices balance innovation with compassion, law with mercy, growth with wisdom, and progress with care for the air, land, and peace of the communities we serve, and for the generations yet to breathe here. Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj reminds us, if we realize the divinity that enlivens all life forms on our planet, we will spread peace and love wherever we go. As we enter a moment of quiet, may we reconnect with that divinity so that wisdom, courage, and love guide every word spoken and every vote cast this evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Clerk, please take the roll.
Member Cahill.
Here.
Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert.
Here.
Member Dessart.
Here.
Member Eckhoff. Here. Member Evans.
Here.
Member Galassi.
Here.
Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Heather.
Here.
Member Honig.
Here.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Here.
Member Martinez.
Here.
Member Ozog.
Here.
Member Schwarzy.
Here.
Member Tornatori.
Here.
Member Yu.
Here.
And Member Zay.
Okay, I'd like to invite Nick Kottmeyer. Michael Childress isn't here. Member Zay, if you'd like to come up, and Tim Harbaugh to the podium. This evening, we are lucky to be joined by Tim Harbaugh and his family as we reluctantly thank him for his service and wish him the best in his retirement. Tim is our Director of Facilities Management who made the wise leap from Kane County to DuPage County just 12 short years ago. Tim, I know I speak for the entire board and staff when I say that if we could convince you to stay another 12 years, we would absolutely do so. I particularly appreciate your ready smile and your can-do attitude when you need to get something done. We know Tim has been the guy to call. Nick and Jim will want to say a few words about your many accomplishments. Then we will present your farewell plaque and invite you to say a few words, as we'll convince your family to come up for photos. And just as a note, I tried very hard to get your wife's phone number.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the best move I ever made was not hiring Tim as a director of stormwater, and he became the director of facilities, because if we didn't, this place would look a lot different, and not for the good, probably for the worst. We all know how hard he works and what a great job he does. I mean, not a great job. I mean, an A1, A-class, #1 job here at our facilities. You look at our buildings, I mean, they're second to none. We're the envy of every county in Illinois, and it wouldn't be possible without Tim's leadership over the years. And he always has that calming voice. When you're spending tens of millions of dollars, he always seems to make it a lot more easy on you. But he does great work. He's done great work, and we can only wish him the best. And unfortunately, he's leaving, but I'm happy for him and his family that they get him back after all these years. And anybody who lived through COVID and the amount of plastic and you bought over the years and everything else, we can't thank you enough. So congratulations.
Before I get going, I want to ask Tim's family, Sarah, and then you got Rachel and Jack back there. If you guys could come up here, because I know how much Tim's family means to him. You know, bring the whole crew up here. So that's one thing. I've got to know Tim very, very well over the years. I know his family is the most important thing for him. So I wanted them to be up here with you. So a little bit of history first, then I'll get into some more interesting stuff. So started with us back 12 years ago, hired him 10/28 of 2013 from Kane County. Definitely our gain, their loss. And he's never looked back since. Before that, you know, he was with Kane County for 19 years. And then before that, I think the southern part of the country, you were down kind of Texas, in that area working private sector. So really, really interesting career. Obviously, you guys all know he has experience with engineering, architecture, construction, environmental remediation. He worked on a lot of landfill stuff, development. He just has kind of seen it all. The one thing I won't hold against you, you graduated from U of I, yeah. So you all know he's a PE, but what you guys probably don't know, he's a diplomat of environmental engineering, which there's like something like 5 in the entire world, and he's one of them. Something like how many of them? There's not many of them. There's 5 in the state. I mean, it is very, very rare, and it's quite an accomplishment. There's a lot to do it. So a little bit more interesting stuff, okay? So Tim's impact on DuPage County, absolutely immeasurable. If you just think back to COVID, CARES Act, and ARPA, the projects that he was responsible for, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And I can tell you just during that thing, I would give him impossible tasks that nobody in their right mind could get done. And I'd be like, you got to build this entire thing. You have 3 months. Good luck. Get it done. And he would do it every single time. I always joke that, you know, everybody has kind of a breaking point. I've never found his. He had so many projects on his plate, and he was always the calmest individual ever going, okay, got it. You want me to do an impossible job, impossible time frame? Got it. And he'd always do it. And you guys all know what he could deliver. I mean, even before that, all the projects he's completed, from the 911 center to the care center expansion to the animal service expansion, HVAC, the list goes on and on and on. And, you know, the funny thing is, it's not the projects that the best thing about Tim. All the people back there that you guys came here for Tim, can you guys stand up? On a Wednesday night, they came here to show support. There's nobody that supports his staff, provides more mentoring than Tim. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, the projects are great, but from that standpoint, developing what he's got, what I've seen him do the last 6-8 months with trying to tie up every loose end so that the next group has something easier, is something amazing. And I'll tell you, the thing I'm going to miss most about him is my friendship with him. And I've really got to know him and really got to appreciate him, and I'm going to miss him. So.
I can only go downhill, so I'm kind of thinking like, I've been truly blessed in my career and personally as well. 32 years of county government. First, I want to thank Deb. I want to thank my chairs, the board, and of course, I've got to thank Jim Healy for the trust you've given in us, not me, in the whole entire department. as Nick said, the projects we did, you gave us the money to do that, and you were the trust, and that really means a lot to me, and I really thank you for that. I want to thank all the departments we work with. We're a service department. Our goal is to help all the other departments, but we work closely with Stormwater, DOT, HR, Finance, my friends on the county board staff. You guys have been great. I really appreciate it. And especially Public Works. We work very closely with Public Works. Sean and Stan in particular, I cannot tell you how much they've done for us. So, sorry. I want to thank my staff. They're great. I've got, Jeff wasn't able to make it here, but Mark is here. If Mark can stand up. Mark is going to be overseeing the maintenance, plumbing, electrical, and power plant divisions, one of the 2 deputy directors. Jeff oversees housekeeping, campus natural resources, environmental sustainability. Jeff has a child commitment. And then Kathy oversees the office. I see my office staff Monday through Friday more than I see my staff at home. As Nick said, my most important task in the last 12 years truly has been the transition. I cannot tell you how important it is to me that that goes well. I've really done everything I can to make sure that things go well. I want to thank Steve. We spent a lot of time together in the last 6 months, and I'm retiring December 1st. I picked that for simple math for FY26. It's Tim's fault. Steve, you got that? I'm going to give you a baker's dozen. I'll give you 13. I'll give you the entire year of FY26. So I would truly appreciate it. But last thing about my career, I want to thank Nick. I really can't do justice what he said. One of the things I've truly enjoyed is going down to his office with a problem and a path, but not a solution. We walk through it, we get it done. So I've truly enjoyed it. Thank you. So I got to end where I started. I told you I've been blessed personally, but professionally, but I've been incredibly blessed personally. My children are here. I can't get the introduction out because I'll mess it up. For 40 years, I've held hands with my wife. It's been an incredible journey. My soulmate, I love her with all my heart, my wife, Sarah. So thank you. Appreciate it, you guys. If he breaks it, we'll fix it. It'll come in.
Okay. On the matter of public comment, according to our county board rules, members of the public shall be afforded time to address the board. Individual remarks shall not exceed 3 minutes in length, nor shall the total time provided for all remarks exceed 30 minutes. Our first speaker is
Catherine Bosold. And after her will be Rebecca Gamboa.
Good evening. My name's Catherine Bosold. I've been a resident in DuPage County since 2009. In the past few months, there's been a very noticeable increase in vehicular, I can't say that word right, speeding on primary fast flow and multi-lane roads such as County Farm Road and North Avenue, Army Trail, we can go on and on. The secondary roads are like Geneva Road, St. Charles Road, east-west. One of the contributing factors has been the presence of Homeland Security, law enforcement, and ICE since September, beginning of September when they came, including plainclothes agents and quite a few SUVs, pickup trucks, and vans. I think we've all seen them running around. A recent study from IDOT states that 45% increase in crash is due to the type of vehicle. And they specifically pointed out 3 vehicles, SUVs, pickups, and vans, as more likely to cause a crash. Mainly because they're such big, they're a lot bigger than they used to be in the 70s. You know, the hoods are way up here. You can't see what's below you. Add the dark windows, partial and full. Well, just add that to the statistic of trying to be able to see a child. 4 o'clock, I think it starts to get dark around here. Yeah. I've just come across a lot of little miracle instances where someone didn't get hurt. So my question is, what current actions are being implemented from the May 2025 DuPage County Safety Plan? Implementing, not reading, implementing. What are we doing right now to protect our citizens, particularly the kids? Thank you for your time. I hope we have more night meetings. This was amazing. You can see the full room here. There's a lot of people that want to talk to you guys and ladies. All right. So, and also, last but not least, is there going to be a follow-up on whether or not Homeland Security folks can use DuPage property like the forest preserves, parks, and all that kind of stuff? I don't know if it all works together in DuPage County, but all the places that we like to hang out, basically. Thank you very much. I don't know how to do this. Thank you.
Rebecca Gamboa.
Good evening, and thank you to the board for giving me the opportunity to address you tonight. My name is Rebecca Gamboa, and I'm an elementary school teacher in Lombard. I'm here tonight to share what is happening in our DuPage County schools as a result of the increased ICE presence in our neighborhoods, and to ask you for your help for our students, educators, and families. While our schools are protected by the Safe Schools Act, that cannot protect our children from the fear, trauma, and worry that follow them into our classrooms. It cannot undo the damage of seeing a neighbor, a friend, or even a parent taken away in front of them. It cannot shield them from the videos, stories, and whispers that circulate in our communities on a daily basis. We have students who tell their teachers they are not sleeping because they need to stay awake in case someone comes for their parents. We have children who begin each school day worried that when they go home, their family will not be there. We have families keeping students home out of fear because they are unsure of what might happen in the 8 hours that they are apart. And yet those students are expected to focus, learn, and thrive under that weight. Imagine being a child who watches a parent taken away at a bus stop, then having to get on that bus and go learn math. That's the reality for many of our children. Our schools are doing everything we can, but we are educators, not trauma practitioners. We are trying to meet needs beyond what we are trained for. These effects reach beyond our students. Our educators are struggling too. When our students are in distress, teachers carry that burden home. Many of us lose sleep worrying about our kids and increasingly about ourselves. Some educators now carry their citizenship paperwork to work just in case. Others live with the constant fear that a loved one could be detained. The emotional toll is heavy. This is not what teaching was meant to be, yet here we are doing our best to hold communities together through fear and uncertainty. That's why I stand in support of the request to create an ad hoc committee to address the mental health impact of ICE activity in DuPage County. Our students, families, and educators need coordinated, compassionate support. Please help us ensure that our schools remain not just physically safe, but emotionally safe ones too for everyone. Thank you.
Jesse Gutierrez, followed by Terry Palmer.
Assuming you said my name, I didn't hear it. Jesse Gutierrez, West Chicago. At the DuPage County Board meeting 2 weeks ago, the board presented a resolution supporting due process and a fair path to citizenship. During the discussion, prior to voting on the resolution, a District 6 board member called it political theater and, quote, "It is sad we have to waste our time on that resolution." During his remarks, he made a claim of talking with a 30-year veteran of ICE, even though ICE has only been around for a little over 20 years. In my opinion, he tried to weave a narrative that directly contradicts what's been happening in the Chicagoland area regarding ICE and has been backed up with numerous videos and social postings. When it came time to vote on the resolution, this board member, along with several other Republicans on the board, got up and left, rather than vote on the resolution. They did not want to be recorded as having voted against the resolution. That is cowardice. Let me give you a dose of reality, not political theater, actual events and conversations. Just today, I had a family in my community come into my office. They were looking at getting guardianship and power of attorney for their family. The parents were immigrants who have been here for 23 years, and they were looking to ensure that their 22-year-old daughter would be able to care for their 2 minor children just in case they were deported. So think about that for a minute. It was obvious to me that the family did not want to leave this country. The children have known nothing but America, and this is their country, and yet they have to deal with the possibility that they could be forcibly separated. They have to prepare for a traumatic event, and their crime? Existing. Wanting to live here. ICE has been in existence for as long as this family has lived here, and yet it is only now that they live in fear of ICE. To that county board member who thinks this is political theater, I say, since you do represent the people of West Chicago, that maybe you should talk to your constituents instead of talking to one representative of ICE. And on a side note, Rebecca Gamboa here is the teacher of my 5th grade son, Caden. And she just told me tonight that when this first started happening, that my son expressed concern. 11-year-old son expressing concern because his daddy lived in West Chicago and he was worried about him. That's the reality. That's not political theater. Thank you for your time.
Terry Palmer.
Good evening. My name is Terry Palmer, and I live in unincorporated West Chicago. I have lived in DuPage County for most of 30 years. No, actually, it's been 50. I want to echo the previous speakers in thanking the board for what you have been doing, posting the signs around the county campus. Those signs, which emphasize that immigration enforcement on county property requires a judicial warrant, that shows a tangible commitment to upholding residents' constitutional rights. Sadly, just days after those signs went up, we saw an incident that puts those rights at risk. According to witnesses and media reports, on Friday morning, November 7th, ICE agents detained a man on the north side of the campus near the courthouse without showing a judicial warrant while county security looked on. This incident raises serious questions about what accountability exists when federal agents act outside the limits clearly posted on county property. Also, last week, the Illinois General Assembly passed House Bill 1312 prohibiting civil immigration arrests or surveillance at or near courthouses without a judicial warrant and requiring clear signage and staff training statewide. I asked the board to consider aligning our local policy with the new state law to make sure our county courthouses and properties provide the same protections that state courthouses do. I thank the board for your leadership and for continuing this important conversation. Thank you.
Ruby Caceres.
She's not here. Ruby.
Maria Sinkuel.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to address Sheriff Mundrick's recent Facebook post about the county's new signage that reads, "County property immigration enforcement only with judicial warrant." These signs are not theatrics or legally non-enforceable, as he claimed. The sheriff's post implies that the signs call for local enforcement to obstruct federal investigations. This is simply not true. On the contrary, they reflect existing Illinois law, the Trust Act, which prohibits local law enforcement from assisting in immigration enforcement unless there's a judicial warrant signed by a judge. The county board has every right, and I would argue a responsibility, to remind employees, residents, and federal agencies that DuPage County will follow the Constitution and Illinois state law, and likewise for county property use. But that raises an important question. If it's already the law of the land, why bother posting signs? Because residents have watched ICE violate individuals' constitutional rights to due process, because even senators are unable to gain access to Broadview and other immigration facilities in order to conduct oversight, because our neighbors are being taken away, whether undocumented or not, on a daily basis. In the absence of federal oversight, we rely on state and local protections to keep us safe. So in that sense, the signage isn't symbolic. They're a visible commitment to the rule of law and the constitutional right to due process. The sheriff's office needs to clarify its position and reaffirm its commitment to following the Illinois law and county policy. Our residents deserve accurate information, assurance that state law enforcement remains focused on safety, transparency, and constitutional rights for everyone in DuPage County. Thank you.
Tim Kaine.
Hi, my name's Tim Kaine. I'm a resident of Wheaton. First of all, just
kind of want to echo everything everyone's been saying and how proud I am to stand here with these people. But I, just wanted to say I was at the last county board meeting and, appreciated the signage being posted and even sort of the responsiveness to the community asking for it to include the judicial warrant language to make sure people were protected. And then, it hurts, in a way to talk about how the sheriff just went on to kind of mock the signs and the board and the people he's meant to serve and just brush off our concerns as meaningless. But this isn't just about signs, it's about responsibility. When an elected official uses his platform for self-promotion instead of public service, that's not leadership. Real service means standing up for the whole community, not playing to a political following. And I'm a parent in this community, and I have kids I've raised here, and if my kids keep pushing the boundaries after breaking the rules, I don't reward them by buying them a $67,000 drone. And just trust that they'll follow the instructions. Accountability comes before privilege, not the other way around. So, it's the same with any public office. If people can't respect the people they serve, you don't hand them more power. You come here and remind them who they work for. And while all of this has been happening, groups like Immigrant Solidarity of DuPage have been filling in these gaps, checking on families during enforcement scares, helping people understand their rights, and keeping residents informed and safe. And we're asking you, in your governing role, to match that level of responsibility, to make sure any new tools or policies actually protect people, not create new risks. So, asking directly, if drones or other surveillance tools are approved, what safeguards will protect residents' privacy and ensure they're not used to target our community unfairly? Thank you.
Helen Schrute. Helen Schrute.
Helen Wheaton. We have asked for clear, consistent procedures that protect county staff and residents from being drawn into civil immigration enforcement activities that has no place on county grounds. We need clear procedures for county staff that limit civil immigration enforcement activity. That means policies that clearly identify which county properties are off limits, parking lots, vacant lots, garages, and government buildings, and post signage at all relevant areas. Define prohibited activities such as staging, mobilizing, congregating, parking, and deploying for civil immigration enforcement. Establish a procedure for employees to report any attempt or actual use of these spaces. We also need warrant verification procedures of staff so staff know the difference between judicial warrants and administrative ones, and a public record of any incidents that ensure accountability. Training and clearly posted information must be provided so every department staff and contractors apply these rules consistently. And we need ongoing tracking and annual reporting of ICE requests to guarantee transparency and build public trust. This is not only about enforcing boundaries, it's also about the families affected by these actions. That is why we've asked for a long time now the establishment of an ad hoc committee of county officials, health experts, and community partners to coordinate mental health and social support resources for families impacted by the Immigration Customs Enforcement. When a parent is detained, a child is traumatized. When law enforcement acts without accountability, communities lose faith in government. This committee would ensure that when federal enforcement disrupts lives, the county steps in with care, coordination, and mental health support, not silence. The board has the power to set standard for lawful, humane, and transparent governance. Clear rules, staff training, public reporting, and coordinated support are not abstract ideas. They are the practical steps that make safety and justice real for every DuPage resident. And as an American, I don't want to live in a fascist state. And that's what this is.
Rebecca Hackman.
Good evening. I'm here to follow up on a drone conversation that happened in the JPS committee. In previous county board and judicial public safety committee meetings, Member Evans has cited the fact that other cities and municipalities have purchased and deployed drones for public safety. At the last board meeting, she said, "Where you been? Naperville's had a tethered drone for a couple of years, and I haven't seen these questions about privacy in Naperville." And at last week's JPS meeting, she said, "To tie this conversation to ICE spreads misinformation and just shows what little research was done before discussing it on the county board, and that just causes more fear." Giving voice to constituents' questions is a key part of board members' duties. If Member Evans is going to castigate other board members for seeking out answers on behalf of constituents and paint that as ignorant fear-mongering, I'm skeptical about how receptive the JPS committee can be to public feedback and questions. The public is voicing concerns about transparency, oversight, and risks around unauthorized data sharing. And given the heightened public safety issue in our region this year, having these privacy and security issues arise here and now should not be a surprise, nor should they be met with defensiveness or frustration. So, to address the concerns duly raised by the public, please consider the following measures. First, in addition to the annual reporting required by state law that's due on April 1st, will you please direct the Sheriff's Office to create and publicly post a drone flight log accessible to all residents with monthly updates? Second, establish a mechanism or body responsible for independent oversight of drone use. The policy allows the Sheriff's Office to authorize and investigate itself, but research shows that perceived fairness and transparency are what determine public trust in law enforcement. Would the board consider creating an external review committee to audit drone deployments and publish quarterly public reports? I believe these steps would drive significantly more transparency and accountability, creating an environment in which the public of DuPage County could feel more comfortable with drone operations. Thank you.
Victor M. Victor M.
Hello, I'm back to talk about surveillance again. This is my third time speaking here. Last time I talked about surveillance. I hope you remember this because I had mentioned an instance in Aurora, Colorado, where the AI glitch of a flock security camera resulted in the wrongful and violent arrest of a family, resulting in a $1.9 million settlement. Brittany Gilliam, 29, her daughter, 6, sister, 12, Two nieces, 17 and 14 at the time, had gone to get their nails done when the Aurora Police Department officers ordered them to lie on the ground and handcuff two of the girls. A widely shared video of this injustice showed 4 children laying on the ground in a parking lot, crying and screaming as several officers stood over them over hot pavement on a sunny day. It may not surprise you to find out this family was black. Across the country, these tools are enabling and amplifying racial profiling by embedding long-standing police racial biases into surveillance technologies. For example, data from Oak Park, Illinois, and this is public data, mind you, showed that 84% of drivers stopped in flock-related traffic incidents were black, despite black people making up only 19% of the local population. I urge this board to terminate any contracts that the Sheriff's Department has with flock safety. Get these creepy, racist abominations off our streets. Start talking about this. We do not need to reward law enforcement officers with more tools of mass surveillance to abuse, like the proposed drone. I do not trust the Sheriff's Department to use a drone like this. They have clearly stated their intention to allow DHS to use the drone. Anyone can be marketed as a terrorist these days. Mendrick's views on immigrants are clear. This is a clear conflict of interest for someone who publicly approves of mass deportations by ICE and publicly declares his desire to work with them. Will you members of the board stand by and enable him? Are you serious? Please, take a look at this picture. I think I tried to make it very simple for you. I think some of you might actually be pictured in this diagram. This is what I don't want. Don't be this. Please, help us end the surveillance state. This doesn't even touch on ICE using these flock security cameras. Come on. What are we doing here, people? Thank you.
Sarah Franklin Serby. Sarah Franklin Serby.
And you may remember me from the last meeting. I'm Sarah from Villa Park, lived here a few years. And I have to echo my comrades' sentiments. Law enforcement already has access to an incredible wealth of camera surveillance in nearly every public space we have access to. They have camera systems in municipal properties, such as this one. They have flock cameras at every major intersection. There's business cameras that are often granted access to, just at a question. Ring cameras that are often exposed. And short-term camera wagons that seem to appear overnight, all kinds of places. I'm sure everyone's familiar with those flashing blue lights. We simply don't need more. Our sheriff in DuPage County, who is also running for governor, is asking us to pay for a $67,000 drone to further spy on residents with very little oversight. His policy that his office wrote allows for executing a surveillance warrant within 45 days and can be extended indefinitely within 45-day periods. That's unacceptable, and the policy otherwise does extraordinarily little to protect people from being surveilled outside of a warrant, such as very limited retention restrictions. Additionally, verbiage on page 3 of the policy suggests he intends to use the drone to further the aims of the DHS, enabling the Sheriff's Office to perform surveillance on anyone the Secretary, specifically the Secretary of Homeland Security, claims could be involved in terrorist activity. She tweets like 1 million times a day, throwing accusations around everywhere. And anyone who has followed the news knows federal agencies have been wielding the label of terrorist as a cudgel to silence and restrain anyone who opposes the DHS invasion of our streets. Anyone anti-Nazi these days is apparently a terrorist. How many of your relatives were proudly Antifa 80 years ago? Mendrick has made his disdain for the Illinois Trust Act and DuPage immigrants clear. He notably started his last sheriff campaign with an ad claiming he would crack down on illegal immigrants, claiming it was a mistake at the printer when he got pushback. I don't want this Bovino wannabe or any future DuPage sheriff, regardless of a party affiliation, to have access to this technology. Cops have plenty of cameras, and they don't need a new one to float over our remaining private spaces. Thank you.
Okay, we've reached 30 minutes. Is there a second? All in favor? Okay. Excuse me?
If we do that, can we limit it to 3 minutes to give more people time to talk, because we had several.
There's only 3 people left.
Okay, because we had several that went over 3 minutes, and we could.
No, we didn't. Nobody went over 3 minutes. Not. We have it right here.
Okay, we have it back here too.
Thank you, though.
Jim Yankee.
Hi, my name is Jim Yankee. I'm a resident of DuPage County. I'm here tonight because I'm alarmed by the proposal to purchase the tethered drone for the Sheriff's Department. As we all know, this drone has advanced surveillance capabilities. This is not just a discussion about technology or public safety. It's a conversation about power, about who it protects and who it threatens. I'm also asking you to think about accountability. This drone would be operated under the direction of an elected official, one who has broad authority but little oversight, and happens to be running for governor as well. So we need to ask what policies, what safeguards, what independent oversight will absolutely ensure that this tool is never used to target Sheriff James Mendrick's political opponents or to intimidate communities of color. I'm concerned about this, especially considering that Sheriff James Mendrick is comfortable repeatedly using a racial slur on his social media page. Board members, your vote tonight is a moral choice. Will you be remembered as leaders who defended civil liberties, who stood up for fairness, for privacy, or for the rule of law? Or as those who chose to appease a man who has been criticized for being unethical and unprofessional in his role as a law enforcement leader? I urge you to reject this drone purchase in order to protect the safety, rights, and dignity of everyone in DuPage County, not just those that Sheriff James Mendrick chooses to favor. Thank you.
Giselle Garcia.
Good evening. My name is Giselle Garcia, and I've been a long-term resident of DuPage County since my upbringing. I'm here today to urge the board to reject the proposed purchase of a tethered drone from the Sheriff's Office. I think, you're probably tired of hearing this. We are tired too. I understand that to some, this may just seem as a funding of equipment, but that's not how communities experience it, as the other folks have shared. Every purchase like this expands surveillance capacity and also changes the relationship between residents and law enforcement. The Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act, it's been my understanding, has been mentioned when these concerns have been brought up, and it has also been noted that other towns have used these drones for events and search and rescue. But those examples don't erase the risk that comes with normalizing this constant aerial monitoring surveillance. We do not need more drones. We should not live in a surveillance state. People in our community already live with a sense of hypervigilance, so I really question the timing of this tethered drone, especially those who have been experiencing and over-policing and have been targeted with the usage of drones for unlawful and violent ICE operations. Adding a tethered drone will not make us safer. It will make us feel watched. I don't feel safe with that. The sheriff seems focused on getting eyes in the sky, but he's forgetting about the eyes on the ground, the people that work and live in DuPage County. If this were truly about transparency, the public would have already had a clear policy, oversight structure, and data protections before this was even considered. We shouldn't have to buy and then ask the critical questions later. I do not trust this technology will be used responsibly or transparently by the sheriff's office. So I'm urging you, board members, to reject the drone purchase. DuPage County deserves safety rooted in trust and not surveillance. Thank you.
Ruben Macro Perez.
Hi again. As always, I appreciate everyone who showed up today to make themselves heard. I actually spoke in the last meeting with a call to make sure everyone else's voices were heard. Many of these people were only able to speak today because they were scheduled. This meeting was scheduled in the evening, and I appreciate that truly. That said, I also know this meeting was already scheduled in the books ahead of time. So, I say it again, there is no excuse why there is 2 a.m. meetings when so many people work late, work in the mornings, and then can't attend these meetings. There should be 2 meetings, one in the morning, one in the evening. So I want to say again, more specifically, so you guys can understand, will you be making the necessary adjustments to allow for the public to speak by offering both a morning and evening meeting in the coming year and in the future? As public servants, you all should be accommodating those you serve and are failing in your duties by not making those accommodations. As public servants, listening to your constituents is your job. As much as some of you here would prefer that not to be the case, seeing as one of you decided to say that the meeting was running too long. As our public officials, we have the right to be part of these meetings to let our voices be heard and to hold you accountable to the public. I hope I will not have to bring this up again, but if need be, I will continue to speak on this issue until the people you serve have a reliable and consistent time to make their voices heard, no matter their schedules. There are no excuses. Thank you.
Okay. If the board has received public comment via our online portal, per board policy, those comments were provided to members yesterday so they could be reviewed. Comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. Okay, we're going to move on. I'm going to invite Mike Citrick, Paula Garcia, and Greg Schwarzy to the podium for a presentation on the DuPage Foundation.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Conroy. It's a pleasure to be here today representing the foundation along with my colleagues Barb Sapaniak, Kate Balswitz, and our DCTP Chair Megan Shebeck to share an update on the progress of the DuPage Community Transformation Partnership and everything that we've achieved together. Since the start of our collaboration nearly 4 years ago, a phenomenal amount has been accomplished for DuPage County. We've issued 84 grants totaling almost $10,500,000 since July of 2022, including an additional $450,000 that we were able to leverage from other DuPage Foundation partners, some of our donor advisors who were inspired by our partnership and wanted to help. In total, we have granted 48 grants in the category of mental health and substance use disorder, 18 in the area of food insecurity, and another 18 in housing instability. Well, the impact of these grants is still growing. In fact, even just since the completion of our interim report that we finished up earlier in the year, the latest stats of October 1st show that so far we've helped more than 250,000 DuPage residents with more than 68,000 households impacted. These grants have fueled the distribution of more than 4.7 million pounds of food the securing of permanent housing for more than 400 individuals, and the opening of more than 34,000 counseling sessions to provide much-needed mental health and substance abuse treatment and prevention. Rather than publish a lengthy paper impact report, we elected to engage a number of our not-for-profits who have benefited from these funds to hear directly from them and a number of their clients about the transformational impact this program is fueling. We are excited to be publishing this digital report to the community next month through our various print and digital channels. And ads like the one that is in your folders are going to be running in the local media beginning December through April, with links to a QR code directing people to our partnership landing page where they can watch an overview video as well as more detailed in-depth videos among each of the 3 categories. We also have a number of several teasers that are going to be running on social media featuring a lot of the different not-for-profits who were benefited. So with that, my thanks to each and every one of you and to all of your predecessors on the county board who were involved in the creation of this partnership. It has truly transformed and elevated our grant making and approach at the foundation and has been inspiring us to forge additional partnerships along with other area foundations and community partners while working to make transformational grant making a permanent part of what we're doing at the foundation. One such partnership really quickly that's already surfaced is a new $300,000 commitment from an area family foundation that's a member of our DuPage Funders Collaborative to support the first 3 years of a new lane of workforce development grants that is being kicked off this fall. So we look forward to having additional conversations with other partners, and we'll continue to update you on our progress. But again, thank you for your partnership, and we hope you enjoy the videos that follow. So thanks.
The DuPage Community Transformation Partnership is a multi-year initiative led by the DuPage County Board and DuPage Foundation. Through this partnership, we are distributing $10 million in federal funding from the American Rescue Plan Act
to support local social service nonprofits helping residents who were hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic.
By addressing immediate needs and investing in evidence-based programs and capacity building to provide long-term solutions.
In the first 2 years of this partnership, we have distributed more than $5 million in grants to local nonprofits,
impacted more than 230,000 individuals,
and made a difference in the lives of 25% of DuPage residents.
This partnership is helping our community, helping our neighbors.
It is powerful what working together can accomplish.
By working together, we are transforming lives across the community.
Every community has needs. It's not limited to a specific area or neighborhood.
DuPage County includes 92,000 residents who are food insecure.
All arrows are pointing towards a greater need.
In DuPage County, we're struggling with a youth mental health crisis.
And the parties don't know how to help and how to address their emotions.
We've been seeing an incredible growth in family homelessness.
It could be your neighbor. It could be a family that your kids go to school with.
Right now we're seeing a higher number of seniors than we've ever seen before.
We serve a lot of youth and families. Many of them are low income.
We know that we can't solve this problem alone. We need to have other partners from the community come together to provide the resources and the support that everyone in our community needs.
The DCTP grant helped DuPage PADS to hire 2 high-needs case managers to help our folks who needed it most, as well as funded our Empowerment Center. DuPage PADS' mission is to end homelessness here in DuPage County.
People's Resource Center has been serving neighbors here in DuPage County for 50 years. This grant provided us with vital equipment to do the main functions of our food pantry. This grant helped add years of operating life to PRC's pantry here in Westmont.
Bridge Communities provides transitional housing to families that are experiencing homelessness. This grant helped us to welcome more families into our program.
And after I left the program, I got the house. I loved Bridge Communities. I loved it.
At Northeast DuPage Family and Youth Services, our mission is to provide access to mental health services. We didn't have our own office space, and we knew that our clients deserved a lot better. Receiving the partnership grant really was game-changing for us. It funded not only the space, but new therapists. It's an environment that lends itself to healing.
The DCTP grant helped us build a sustainable infrastructure, deepen partnerships with the community, We were able to staff a new mental health therapist, a new addiction counselor, and also a case manager.
And to see the transformation when they have that aha moment is the best gift.
At the Wayne Township Food Pantry, there's an empowerment to be able to choose what they want instead of just receiving what they get.
With the DuPage Community Transformation Grant, we implemented the online market, and we brought dignity and convenience to those in need in our community.
The importance of having mental health resources for kids in our community is that they're the most vulnerable group in our community, and we serve a lot of families and a lot of kids that really just need that help and that support.
I feel very confident now since we have the DCTP grant. They are our future.
Here at Loaves and Fishes, we are providing healthy food and programs that are impactful to help people become more self-sufficient. The DuPage Transformation Grant was instrumental for us to buy our new electric van. We've been able to increase access for people in the community who otherwise would not have access to get the help that they need.
The Alive Center is a preventative mental health space where kids can find the unique gifts and talents inside of them and have the confidence to bring those out into the world. With this grant, we are helping kids to discover who they are.
The Community House's Spark program in southeastern DuPage County services families living in an unincorporated, isolated area. With this grant, the Community House was able to hire a full-time social worker that has provided more than 1,400 sessions of healing therapy. When we give youth and families access to mental health care, it starts a ripple effect of healing and impact.
I think the DuPage Transformational Grant gave nonprofits an opportunity to think bigger, and I think that's really one of the things that both DuPage County and DuPage Foundation are all about.
Collaboration is not just a nice to have, it's a must have. We're sharing ideas, coming up with better solutions.
This grant showed that when multiple agencies and organizations come together, we can do some really amazing things.
So I feel like I need to say a few things on how this got started. In 2021, when this board received that ARPA money, we knew that these three issues, food insecurity, housing instability, mental health, and addiction issues were big, but it wouldn't be fair not to recognize Mary Keating's role in all this as the Community Services Chair. So I was serving as Vice Chair of Human Services under the leadership of Julie Renahan at the time, and this board knew those issues needed to be addressed. How do we do it? And though I was familiar with DuPage Foundation, I didn't really know them certainly like Mary Keating did. And Mary's like, let's get them involved. They do this for a living. And I will tell you, as me and Vice Chair Garcia sit on the grant committee with Megan Shebeck, who leads it, and Barb Sapeniak, it's very, very difficult handing out grants. It's very, very, all the requirements, all the things that need to be done. There is no way we could have done this in this county with our staff and helped 250,000 people in 3 years. So thank you very much for everything that the DuPage Foundation does. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful for our relationship and our partnership, and I hope we can keep working with you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the RTA annual update and budget presentation. I'd like to invite Malik Bisnav to the podium, and we're very interested to hear the update as well as the recent passage of the transit bill.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Board, for having us here. My name is Malik Vaishnav. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of Planning and Capital Programming at the RTA. Every year you get sort of a usual budget update. It'll be a little bit different this year, and I'll be quick, given that you've had a long evening, but also reserve most times for questions because of the bill that just passed in Springfield that'll fund transit. So I'll wait for it to load, and then we can move to the next slide. First thing I have to mention, our chair, Kirk Dillard, is a proud resident of this county, and he asked me to let you know, Chair, that he's available for all of you at any point, and he couldn't make it here today, but he's advocating for more transit in the county every time with us, with the team. So I'll jump right in. It's a new day for us in transit. In the most recent veto session, the Illinois General Assembly passed State Bill 2111 at 4:30 a.m. on the morning of Halloween, after a long debate and process through the last couple of years, where we have been advocating for more funding post-COVID. They passed a bill that will add approximately $1.2 billion a year to the existing amount of public funding, which we were happy to call a special board meeting just last week and make sure that in this budget process we're able to incorporate this last-minute infusion of funding. I'll get into the details in a bit, but what it means is no service cuts, no layoffs, no fare increases in 2026, and continued improvements to service quality and experience. This will really put a sound footing for more transit service in all 6 counties in out years. Next slide. So we continue to see a significant increase in ridership, transit ridership with CTA, Metra, and PACE across the region since COVID. Now we are exceeding average weekday ridership in one single day of 1.3 million across the region. And this funding will really be transformative. We did not want to see service cuts that would have reversed this positive trend that we are seeing. Next slide. So jumping into some specifics on the bill, and again, I'll happy to answer questions, and I'll be quick here. There's a lot of information, but the 2 biggest sources of funding, new sources of funding that will begin starting earliest in June 1, 2026. The act is not yet signed by Governor Pritzker, but we expect him to sign it. But also the act is effective June 1, 2026. So we are not expecting to see any new funding for first half of 2026. So we're going to manage the cash flow through that process. But the 2 biggest sources are that the state collects 6.25% sales tax on motor fuel. They are moving 5 of those percentage points to us. Huge deal. It will generate about $860 million across the state of Illinois, 15% going to downstate outside the RTA 6 counties. The other big piece is that it's giving the RTA board approval or authority to call a board meeting in the first couple of months of the bill's effective date, so starting June 1, to raise the sales tax, RTA sales tax in the 6-county region by another quarter. So our board will have to vote on it, and then it would be effective and begin collections in the 3rd quarter at the earliest of 2026. Annually, this is expected to generate $478 million. These are the 2 biggest sources added to this bill. Next slide. So what we had to do very quickly was turn around and make sure that there's enough funding, especially in 2026 budget process, so we didn't have to change our timeline. So in 2026, the 2 sources will add about $564 million because they are only effective in second half of the year or potentially even later. But as you see in 27 and 8, when we get the full benefit, it's between $1.25 billion and $1.27 billion of more funding on the operating side, which was our biggest issue since COVID. There's also new capital funding of about $180 million a year from the road fund interest. So IDOT's amount of road fund that has not been spent is collecting interest. We will receive about $180 million. We're going to deal with that next year because our capital process is a little bit different. We have 4 opportunities a year instead of just 1 on the operating side. Go to the next slide. So very quickly, previously we had gone through the process assuming that there was an equal chance of not receiving this funding in a timely manner. So we're glad to have to abandon that scenario, but we had to come back last week and our board had to approve this level of additional funding you see from what we had previously to make sure that there are no service cuts and no fare increases. So just for example, PACE had approval for $251 million of public funding, we are upping that to 270.5 because of this infusion in funding in 2026. Again, even after incorporating all the new dollars, we expect that regionally there'll be additional $319 million left for us to figure out in the first half of 2026 of how we will spend them, because that funding is not going to arrive until the last quarter of 2026. So we have a little bit of time to figure out what the future looks like for that expanded level of service. Next slide. One big thing, as you probably have heard previously, the Illinois agencies, especially in the RTA region, CTA, Metro, and PACE, we had to meet a 50% fare recovery ratio. That was the most stringent in the nation. A lot of states have removed that ratio or really lowered it. This bill does lower it to 25% in the next few years, and then lowers it further to 20%. And this is really welcome news because we do want to rely on the fare revenue. We do not believe in free transit that some states have tried. It doesn't work. But we also believe that fares are not going to be a substantial portion as they have been pre-COVID. So we needed that adjusted and didn't want to end up with significant penalties, which the state has done for us. However, as part of the process, they've also removed many exemptions that we had on some expenses. So we will continue to advocate for the right amount of flexibility there in future years. Next slide. So what will this new funding do? So obviously in 2026, we wanted a stable ground to approve our budgets that will not have all the things I talked about, no cuts, no fare increase. But we want to make sure that service boards, CTA, Metro, and PACE are able to accelerate hiring of operators, because if you want to add service, that has been our biggest pain point the last few years, to be able to have enough staff to be able to run the level of service that people want. As you probably know, we have been running a reduced fare pilot for people who are SNAP eligible through RTA, Metro, and Cook County over the 6-county region. We had very limited funding for it, but now with this new funding, we would like to expand that across the region to CTA and PACE as well. A lot of our communities in DuPage and across the 6 counties apply for our community planning access to transit projects, where we help pay for sidewalk improvements or help communities get additional federal or other funding. We would like to expand that now that this bill has a huge governance portion I'm going to get into in a minute that you're probably more interested in. But that includes several requirements of the new board, including potentially paying for more infrastructure type projects. We would like to do more coordinated planning. As you probably have heard complaints that we have, that sometimes people try to transfer from Metro to PACE and the bus is left 5 minutes when you just got to your Metro station trying to transfer. How to make that more coordinated with additional funding, but also make sure that there is a train or a bus available at least every hour, if not even more frequently, so we can all use that. I would have loved to take Metro here this evening, but the return service back to Chicago is very limited at these hours, and we would like to see more trains run in both directions and buses. The other big thing is public safety has come up consistently as an issue, and now we will be able to invest in transit ambassadors. There's a whole police component that we'll get into, but a lot of that work will happen over the next several years. Next slide. All right, so the big part is the bill changes the governance of RTA completely. The current RTA board term will expire on September 1st of 2026, next year. A new board under the Northern Illinois Transit Authority will be formed, which will have 20 board members. On the effective date, RTA, we will become NIDA on June 1st of 2026. And then all of you will have opportunities to reappoint or appoint board members to the NIDA board, to, in DuPage's case, PACE and Metro. And now the boards will have shared responsibilities, so some members will sit on multiple boards at the same time to create more cohesion. There's still the supermajority vote has been maintained. The biggest change on the central agency is more powers, but also that the governor will have 5 appointments on the new NIDA board, which takes it from 16 to 20. So that is a big change that will be coming up. We can get into more details with your questions, but there's a lot in the bill. Basically, the governance kicks off with IDOT procuring a consultant, multi-year process to bring a lot more of the fare policy and other functions to this new agency at the central level. Next slide. So some key dates. Again, June 1 is the effective date. September 1st is when the terms of the current RTA board members expire. So you have 120 days after the effective date to appoint or reappoint your members. There's several task force, again, IDOT related process that will kick off that will lead to a law enforcement recommendation, a recommendation on how to consolidate functions, have a transition plan adopted by mid-2027, transit ambassadors, a coordinated service plan, and then in out years, a unified fare payment system that currently the contract is held by CTA would move over to the centralized agency. And by June 1, 2028, there'll be more fare programs with more ability for riders to access free and reduced fares. So a lot of things going on as part of this bill over the next several years. Next slide. I should obviously mention that we, as part of the budget, have a massive 5-year capital program. There are several priorities in it in DuPage County, including Glen Ellen, Highlands, and West Hinsdale stations for Metra. And there's also the PACE Pulse route on Cermak coming west. Region-wide priorities that all 6 counties will benefit from as they're waiting for Metra's new bi-level cars, zero-emission train sets, and PACE had made significant investment in new buses as well as garages and paratransit vehicles. Next slide. Again, next steps, we wanted to make sure that our budget process stayed on our timeline. So we had an urgent board meeting last week, but now we are back on our usual timeline where we will go through the regional budget process open for public comment from November 14th through December 5th, and then the CTA, Metra, and PACE will be at our board meeting next week to present their individual budgets. We'll have a virtual public hearing on December 4th, and on December 18th, our board will take up the regional budget for adoption. So with that, I will conclude my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Member Krajewski.
Just have one. You mentioned infrastructure improvements coming out into DuPage. Would that be looking along our rail lines for potential parking decks for travelers? Because this new act also eliminates, if anything, within a half a mile of a train station, villages now cannot put minimums in for parking, off-street parking, which means developers now can build the 200 units in these downtowns with no parking, which is then going to create just a nightmare in the village of parking all over the place. I have no idea why that's in there, but that's a big concern for all of the mayors in my district, which I have former Senator Dillinger, RTA chair, in Hinsdale, but yes. I have Downers Grove, Westmont, Hinsdale, Clarendon Hills, and we see all the development out here in DuPage are along these rail lines with these multi-luxury apartments, but to require villages not to be able to put any minimum parking in these off streets, that's going to create a huge nightmare. So if you guys are going to take some of that money and help build decks in those towns, or we probably should look at some legislative changes. I know it's a big issue for DuPage mayors right now, as I've reached out because of all the issues in my district related to that. So I don't know when you mentioned infrastructure, if that's parking infrastructure for decks.
It's a great question. So there are a few things going on. You're correct that within a quarter or half mile, depending on different geographies, the parking mandates and requirements are removed through this bill with the effective date. My team works very closely with many communities on many planning projects. It still does not take away any local zoning requirements in terms of how large of a building would come in. The process they would have to go through with your individual communities will not change. So the biggest thing is, while in that some of the specific parcels, there may not be minimum requirements, there's still ability to negotiate some level of parking in that. Outside of that, we are currently seeing a lot of our Metra stations, existing lots being underutilized, under 50% post-COVID due to the type of changes in ridership. So we expect that to continue to help cover some of that demand. But we are working on a... Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I'm disappointed Chairman Dillard wasn't here. You know, I think this is just a rating of the road fund. I mean, this is a bad piece of legislation. I mean, you talk about no service cuts, no layoffs, no fare increase. Why would we want to, like, maybe charge the people who use the service more? Let's just put it on the backs of the people who don't use the service. I mean, you talked about reduction of fares. I mean, this legislation has so much in it. The fare recovery, how do you go from 50% to 25%? And you're only at 22% right now. So almost 80% of your funding is coming from outside fare recovery. That's not a very good model, is it? So basically, you've taken $860 million from the road fund and given it to transit, when we all know we have road and bridge problems in this state. But you know who the biggest beneficiary of this is? The CTA, you showed it, $141 additional dollars. I mean, I looked at something the other day, 10 worst funded pensions in the United States in 2023. You know who's number one? Chicago Transit Authority. They had a scandal because they had people, hourly people, making $200,000, $300,000 in overtime off the regular pay. But we're not seeing any kind of changes to the CTA. We're not making any reductions, anything else. You know, I have this is what I have for RTA in my area. Hanover Park, Bartlett, Winfield, Metro stops. Hardly have any pace whatsoever in my area. What we have is Dollar Ride, which now is going to go to a regional coordination. So taking away local control of something that might be working. So we're going to make it regional and give less control to our local users, the people who do it right now. I mean, I just don't see it. And you didn't even mention the tollway. People that majority of the suburbs and DuPage County has got tollways running all through it, increase of 45 cents. You know, you had increase in taking money out of things. You know, things get transported in areas. So now what you're going to see is that we saw this with 390 when they raised the tolls. People stopped taking it. So you know what happens? These trucks are on side streets, they're on major streets, they're on county roads. And when those go up, the cost of transportation goes up. That means the cost of goods go up at that point. So, I mean, I don't see, you know, again, why would we have layoff or service cuts? Why would we, you know, try to do some kind of change for a system that was failed? All you did was get a money grab and just continue with the status quo. And now we're going to have new boards, this new regional board, which I think we get one appointee out of that. We get one for Metro, one for Pace.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
I mean, out of 20 people, so we'll have two. I think the suburbs are outnumbered big time with CTA, Cook County, and the governor putting people in there. So, I mean, this isn't a good bill. It's not a good bill, I don't think, for the people of DuPage. I think the suburbs are paying a mass portion of this. And again, there's increased sales tax, which a lot of our people buy goods in Cook County. You're going to see that change there. So it's just not a good plan. And I wish, like I said, Chairman Dillard was here to talk about it.
Member Desart.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I agree. The legislation, it was hurry up legislation, and it doesn't. It's not conducive for us in the suburbs. Before you go, it's already after 9. I have a ton of questions. Before you go, could I please get your business card? Because I do have a ton of questions. You know, I agree with a lot of what Member Zay said. That road fuel tax is supposed to go toward roads and bridges and that infrastructure. And you didn't mention the 45-cent increase in tolls. The only good thing I can say about the RTA for our county, is that everybody who takes, you know, Metra, like Member Zay said, there's hardly any pace or, you know, obviously no CT out here. But all of the folks who take Metra stay off the road, so they're the tolls, so they're less congested out here. That's the only positive that I could see. But again, I'd like your business card, please. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the ETSB presentation. I'd like to invite Greg Shorzy and Linda Zerwin to the podium. The Emergency Telephone System Board funds our county's 911 emergency system. It is a primary responsibility of local government to provide public safety services to our residents. And we will hear an update.
Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to mention a few things before I turn it over to Linda here. So the ETSB is pleased to provide its fiscal year 26 budget to the county board. I want to share some highlights. So 3 years ago, we decided to spend close to $36 million to replace interoperable radios and mobile radios for every police officer and firefighter in DuPage County. And we are just finishing up the delivery. We got the police radios out a few years ago. We're just finished getting the fire portable radios out. And this completes really the most critical portion of the project of our portable replacement. We're still in the process of getting the mobile radios out, the ones for the vehicles. And the next phases of the radio replacement project include replacing the APX 4000 and the replacement of the mobile radios. And when these phases are done, the DuPage Emergency Dispatch interoperable radio system will have a 10-year communication solution. So we were able to replace really over 3,000 radios at $8,000 a piece. We saved the taxpayers of the municipalities a ton of money. I mean, 80 radios for the Carroll Stream Police Department times 8,000 is, almost $750,000, and we didn't have to raise taxes. It all came out of your 911 surcharge fund. So it didn't cost anybody anything extra to be able to do this and to protect our police officers, our firefighters, and thus the residents of DuPage County. With regards to capital replacement, ETSB worked with outside auditors to set up a capital contingency fund for equipment replacement. The ETSB has been working with the Treasurer's Office on investments and sustainability. ETSB has several large projects that will be paid in finishing fiscal year 25 and next year in fiscal year 26. But we now have a solid schedule and we are maintaining a fund balance for replacement of the core 911 system components. This is a significant milestone to ensure the health of our 911 system without impact to the county general fund. Along with launch of the text to 911, if you recall, we kicked that off earlier this year, April, yeah. Our ETSB and our county GIS worked together to be ready for the new statewide NG 911 network to improve resiliency and redundancy throughout Illinois. I first want to thank longtime member Grant Eckhoff, who's been on this committee forever, and our newest member, Andrew Honig. And I can't say enough about the volume of work handled by the small staff of ETSB led by Linda Zerwin. We have 9. Are we even up to 9 yet? We have 8. Yeah, we have 8, and they have done an outstanding job. I can't tell you, fiscally super responsible, and the technology part of it is way above my head. And Linda, being a former deputy police chief, has been absolutely wonderful in her 15 or 16 years of doing this. So I'll turn it over to her.
Thanks. All right, we can go to the next slide. I did provide you with a handout overview, so we'll go through some of the slides quickly, and then I'm happy to take any individual questions you might have about the budget detail, because we won't go specifically into that tonight unless you really want to. So I didn't think so. Okay. So our budget this year is up a little bit by 3%. We did in mid-year do some salary adjustments to align some of our staff and getting ready for the budget cycle. So that's part of the reason there's a little bit of an increase in our operating. And then we have some long-term contracts that have built-in multipliers that go up. New capital was down this year. So with the capital contingency, which is the fund that Chair Schwarzy talked about, you see we fund all those things we already own. So new capital is only new programs or services that we're considering each year through the budget and the ad hoc finance committee. You can go to the next slide. So this gives you a breakdown of the operating. We talked again about the personnel costs going up a little bit, commodities. Again, some of this is, I'm always thankful for the finance department rearranging my line items and moving the money around. So The budget is fairly stable, but these increases in the line items are basically because we're moving some money between contracts and commodities. We're also, because we're in the third year of the police radio deployment, we're getting ready to kind of build up the replacement parts, cables, cords, mics, things like that. So you see a little bit of an increase. The other increase in that line item is batteries. One battery for police is around $300,000 for the entire complement of the police agencies. So, and it'll be about $400,000 for the fire radios because they're fire radio batteries that are rated for extreme heat. So you'll see that fluctuate off and on because it's a commodity based on their pricing. We do go to bid for that, so we work on those types of pricing. And the contract that you replaced your Apex 4000s on, the Motorola gave us that same 47% discount on our last batteries, so we're saving a little money there. Next slide. So one of the things we always like to talk about is cost sharing. So these are areas in which the ETSB shares costs with the county. I felt like that slide was a little bit bigger when I looked at it on my own screen. Sorry about that. But these are areas where over time, and we've given you a little bit of a history here, where we're sharing costs for certain services. This saves us money in personnel because, for example, you have a full-blown GIS department here that has now assumed that role and was instrumental, really did fantastic work with the state 911 new NG 911 network. So we're happy to have an entire department under Tom Ricker manning that force, and that creates some stability in one of our key areas. So this gives you an idea of where we're at. We did a cost adjustment, you'll see. It was pretty stagnant for a while, and we made an adjustment, and then there's some multipliers there that you'll see. So we're about, we're providing, some good, share my lessons. It's 9 o'clock. we're helping with some of those costs to the county and the services that we're giving. We're also adding for FY26 some resource to procurement because first of all, Val and her team did a great job for us, and we're really a lot about contracts. So we added that. The ETS board decided to approve that. Okay, next. This gives you an idea of our capital line items. So the top is the new capital, the bottom is the capital contingencies. That's confusing to some people because that's basically our savings account. So we put money aside every year and for our core components for replacement, repair, upgrade. That number will fluctuate based on when those projects finish, and the way that the capital contingency is set up, it allows us to transfer money when we're ready to pay those bills. And then working specifically with the county treasurer, we did very well in those years where interest rates were good, and last year we did about $1 million in interest because we weren't paying out some things. We don't expect that to continue because we'll be paying about another $15 million out of our fund for some projects that are finishing in 25 and 26. So, next slide. And there you go. There's your revenue. Interestingly enough, this is the first year since I've been here in 16 years that we're not going to make our revenue projection. We do this based on our monthly surcharge, and in the changes in wireline, which is almost non-existent now, we'll be about $1 million short. There is a one-time payment that comes at the end of the state fiscal year, and so we recently changed the expenditure policy for ETSB to allow that to offset any fluctuation there, and then any balance there, the board can decide what to do with whether new capital. This year they're deciding to send that to the PSAPs. We give them $1 million. So we got the check this afternoon, so it looks like there'll be an additional $800,000 going to the PSAPs. So this is...
Sorry, the PSAPs are the 911 agencies, in case you...
I'm so proud of you.
Good.
I try to look to see if people aren't understanding where I'm going. But so this gives you a basic idea of where our surcharge is, and how we calculate it, the surcharge and other revenue sources that we have. You can go to the next slide. The treasurer does an investment review for us. That's just the overview of where we're at. We have a couple of accounts. We have a money market fund and then our long-term investments. We work with Treasurer Henry and her second, Ellen Smith, to determine how our payments are going to go and what we can invest long-term to get the best return on our investment dollars. And next slide. Quick and dirty. I'm happy to take any questions you have. The best news is that we're in fairly fluid form here.
Member Dessart.
Lydia, thank you so much for the presentation. I appreciate it. I couldn't see most of it, and I think I heard you say that there was a handout.
Yes.
And I don't see any handout.
It was emailed to you last week.
Oh, all right. I just thought it was a printed out handout. Thank you. I'll need to go back and look for it then.
Okay.
Because that was awfully hard to see. Thank you.
Member Krajewski.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. I've harped in finance before about our prior auditor used to do about 100 internal audits a year, various departments, and when you do those, you find things that aren't necessarily right, and you make corrections to correct those. Our current auditor maybe spends more time with the clerk, but he's only been doing about 20 audits a year. 2024, I think there was like 20, but like half of them are your department, and they continually issue reports, Bill White, that says, we tested 35 invoices, we found 4 mistakes. And they say, do this. And then a month later, I assume maybe that's because why they're auditing you so much is because they don't get corrected. Then you go and there's November and then there's October. But they constantly if they're only testing 35 and they're finding 4 or 5 mistakes, that leads me to believe if they tested 100, they'd find more. But I'm not sure what the disconnect is with finance and what you guys are inputting to generate the auditor disapproving these and having these findings versus clean reports, because there's some that will say I did an audit and everything was fine, and I understand things are dead, but do you get those and do you try to fix them? Because I understand why we have month after month these reports from the auditor.
The auditor has been doing that report since I started,
but he keeps finding mistakes in them. Like the last one, and I pulled one before and before. It's like I tested 33 and I found 4. And it's like the Purvis system, FSAS maintenance service had incorrect purchase order line numbers written in the authorization labels, and some recommendations include finance.
You're right. And it's auditing not only what we submit as an ETSB in terms of that, but how it's inputted into the system and then the line items. So it's a combination of ETSB work and county finance.
But we're constantly having issues the auditors find it. I don't understand how I understand once, twice, but it continues. At least all of 24, there's a ton of them out there. And I don't see it getting fixed. Like when they did it in July, I don't see, and I raised it to Member Schwartzy, a few months ago if he was reading them, because he gets those reports. I just don't understand why we continue to have the auditor finding the mistakes, things coded wrong, going in the wrong areas. I just don't understand it. I would hope after time it would be fixed. I haven't seen any audit reports for 25. I don't know if he just hasn't had time to do them or post them, but
they're posted every month.
Well, he's the guy, he doesn't them all out there. Sometimes he takes them there, but he doesn't do you every month where he's
Yes, he does.
Okay, well then he's not posting the ones where he finds ones, but
we
nobody
post
else
under the ETS board schedule. Yeah. So when we post our bills list, that auditor's report is part of the bills list.
Well, these
so
are
it's posted online for all
specific ones he pulled, because there's a couple for retention, there's a couple other departments, but he only did 20 for the year, but you guys had like 10 of them. But there's consistently finding of mistakes. That's my issue, that those aren't being corrected. I would hope.
Well, I think those mistakes that they're finding are being corrected. They're finding.
Well, I understand that. Then the next time around they should be fixed, or maybe the next time. It's like you understand what the problem is. Whoever's doing it should then be able to do it correctly. I just don't understand why he continues to find problems when he's pulling, and he's only testing 30 or 40 invoices, and he's always gotten 4 or 5 miscoded, gone to the wrong area.
There's only about 30 or 40 invoices a month.
Well, then
for
he's
the
pulling
ETS
them all,
board.
and he's finding
right.
4 or 5.
They do them all.
But you would think you'd be able to get them right. I just think there's something wrong. I don't know why we keep getting wrong invoice coded wrong if there's only 33.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Out those reports, because we used to get them all from the auditor. Now they're just online. We used to get them in a mailbox, but I don't know if any of the board members even look at those. But they do find recommendations. Bill White will put them out online, but we used to give them in our mailbox. I don't know if anybody's even looked at them or sees them, but they're good to look at.
Okay. Before I give my chair remarks, I'd just like to note that evening meetings, while I appreciate people really want an evening meeting, it's important to state that as of now, staff has been here for 13 and a half hours. They will be here for several more hours after we end the meeting and will be required to be here first thing in the morning. So I want you to know how very much I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'd also like to thank the community members who not only came to comment, but have stayed through the meeting. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who has spoken up for dignity and due process in DuPage County. Last week's immigration arrest on our campus rattled the community. And this is the exact conduct our board condemned at our last meeting. These actions provoke fear. And when they happen to someone, when they happen as someone leaves the courthouse, it deters victims and witnesses from coming to court, undermining justice and eroding public safety. The state's attorney has opined the signs posted on our campus are unenforceable. But the signs are more than just metal on a post. They are a pledge that people coming to our courthouse should not have to choose between justice and fear. These signs complement House Bill 1312, which was approved by the General Assembly this fall and prohibits civil immigration arrests within 1,000 feet of a courthouse. Symbols matter, especially when they tell our neighbors, you belong here and your rights don't stop at the curb. Keeping these signs up is our way of drawing a bright line in support of constitutional protections and the safety of everyone who relies on county services. So let me be clear. The signs stay. They are a public pledge of who we are, a county that protects access to justice and stands with families who strengthen our community every day. We will never stop demanding due process and transparency from any federal agency operating in our county. Now on to two other important matters impacting our residents, food and housing insecurity. As you have heard in Finance Committee, PADS has informed us of an anticipated need to safely house residents who will be out on the streets this winter. PADS is seeking $344,000 for this purpose and plans to, again, put residents in a hotel that is willing to provide rooms in DuPage County. I anticipate bringing a resolution forward for the board to consider. On the issue of food insecurity, the disruption of SNAP benefits has been the subject of great concern. More than 67,000 DuPage residents depend on SNAP. Human Services Chair Greg Schwarzy, Human Services Vice Chair Paula Garcia, myself, and county staff have had important discussions over the past weeks with executives who run our county food pantries. As you know, the federal government is on its way to reopening, and I can tell you, as we've been here tonight, they have voted to reopen the government. Thank God. However, we still anticipate a significant delay in payment or lack of SNAP payments for November. I will let Member Schwarzy outline the framework of a proposed response in new business, and we can conduct a discussion of both the food and shelter issues at that time under new business. Thanks to Loaves and Fishes, Mike Havala, food pantry leaders, and Mary Keating for working to pull this information together. Finally, I'm inviting you to join Team County Board. In this year's coat drive competition, we never turn down a competition. Drop off your coats, jackets, hats, and mittens to Heidi by Tuesday, November 18th. We have our first donations, and we hope to have many more next week. Okay, now to begin the business of the board, we'll move to the consent agenda. I seek a motion to approve the consent agenda. Okay, 25, 27, 33, DuPage County Board regular meeting minutes, Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. 25, 26, 34, 10, 24, 2025, pay list. 25, 26, 36, 10, 24, 2025, auto debit pay list. 25, 26, 62, 10, 28, 2025, pay list. 25, 27, 04, 10, 31, 2025, pay list. 25, 27, 09, 11, 4, 2025, auto debit pay list. 25, 27, 16, 11, 4, 2025, pay list. 25, 27, 21, 11, 5, 2025, Public Works refund pay list. 25, 27, 42, 11, 6, 2025, core bill wire transfer. 25, 26, 31, change orders to various contracts as specified in the attached packet. 25, 27, 13, county clerk's monthly receipts and disbursements report, October 25. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have county board and vice chair, or Childress, and members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, we hope Vice Chair Childress feels better and gets well soon. I'll stand in here for him tonight. I move on CBR 79-25, resolution approving member initiative program agreements.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Members A.
Aye.
Member Cahill. Aye. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Aye. Member Desart. Aye. Member Eckhoff. Aye. Member Evans. Aye. Member Galassi. Aye. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Yes. Member Honig.
Aye.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
Member Martinez. Aye. Member Ozog. Aye. Member Schwarzy. And Member Tornatori. And Member Yu.
Aye. Okay, members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on CBR 80-25, the appointment of William Warback as DuPage County Investigator General.
Leave is granted. Thank you,
Thank you,
members A. Okay, we're going to move on to finance and Member Garcia.
Okay, really quickly for a committee update, which is the one we're going to be pulling. Okay, we're going to wait on that. Hold on. In our finance department, well, I'll get to it. We're just going to go on to the vote. We all just went through the finance committee. We're all good. Okay, I make a motion to approve FIR 018925 budget transfers for 11/12/2025 various companies and accounting units.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Yes. Member Honig. Aye. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
Member Martinez. Aye. Member Ozog. Aye. Member Schwarzy. Aye. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Aye. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Aye. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Aye. And Member Galassi.
Aye. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve 10B FIR 019025 acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Home Weatherization Assistance Program DOE Grant Program Year 26 Intergovernmental Agreement for the Weatherization Unit. This is for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 26, 2026 in the amount of $638,116 for community services.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FIR 019125, acceptance of an extension of time for the DuPage County Heroin Opioid Prevention and Education First Offender Court Unified for Success Court. This is for the probation and court services.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIR 019225, acceptance and appropriation of Public Defender Services Grant Program Year 26 Intergovernmental Agreement. This is for the amount of $50,250.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Our next item was voted down in finance, so I don't believe I bring it up here. Is that correct? Okay. That's the one I was going to discuss, but that is the one we will be passing. Okay, make a motion to approve FIP 001725, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to EDU Solutions for IT consultant services for the Regional Office of Education for the period of November 15, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $45,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIP 001825, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Casco International to provide employee service awards for milestone anniversaries for human resources for the period of December 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $31,797.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FIP 001925, recommendation for the approval of funding to Momcus LLC to provide legal services as conflict as counsel as special assistant state's attorney for the period of December 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $70,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIP 002025, recommendation for the approval of funding for the Soto's Law Firm PC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period of October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2027 to state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $120,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIP 002125, recommendation for the approval of funding of O'Hagan Meyer to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period of September 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIP 002225, recommendation for the approval of funding to Hervis, Condon, and Bersani PC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period of October 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $75,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
And finally, I make a motion to approve FIP 002325, recommendation for the approval of funding to Rock, Fusco, and Connolly LLC to provide legal services as conflict counsel as special assistant state's attorneys for the period of October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2027 for the state's attorney's office for an amount not to exceed $120,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Garcia. Animal Services and Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Member Chair. Madam Chair, two brief things. One, the calendars are out for 2026. They sold out already, so they put another order in.
It looks like a dog. Isn't that a dog?
But there's cats in there too.
Okay.
Let's see.
Just.
There's
You said cat calendar, and I saw a dog. So.
Yeah, and it's actually got all the days like National Dog Biscuit Day, Cat Domination Day, so they're all in there.
Okay.
$20 if anybody wants them. We'll have them at next committee meeting. And then the second item, just to bring up, is we are getting some animals surrendered, a number of them at animal facilities due to financial constraints people have. They can't afford their rent or their own food. So we're seeing a number of increases, animals being surrendered. So we're going to be doing an event on December 6th with our animal van and talking to Fish and Downers Grove, People's Resource Center in Westmont, and Hinsdale Shelter. They also are getting demands for animal food for their shelters. So we started it kind of as an animal food drive for these shelters in those three towns. But, Member Galassi's on Health and Human Services from our district. So we're including food for humans, food for animals, and also monetary. So we're going to have a little competition between the three towns. Village President Hart in Hinsdale is taking the lead on the Hinsdale Family Shelter. They're getting the community members involved, like Rotaries and Lions. Mayor Nero in Westmont is going to take the lead, and Westmont with People's Resource Center, and then the Downers Grove assessor, whose office is in the Fish Food Pantry in Downers Grove. Greg Bolts is taking the Downers Grove one. So we're going to have Health and Human Services and myself, and we're doing a big food drive that day. So you'll probably see a lot coming out. We're going to get the local, I think the YMCA is already joining on board, the Rotary clubs in these towns, and we'll see how much the community can bring to these three towns. Not only food, but also started out as helping the animals. So we'll help them both, but you'll start seeing some information on that coming out.
Okay. Thank you, Member Krajewski. Development at Member Tonatori. Okay. Economic Development, Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No report today.
Okay. Environmental and Member Heather.
I'll follow their lead. No report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Heather. Okay. ETSB and Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on ETSR 6925, resolution approving the sale of inventory from the County of DuPage on behalf of the Emergency Telephone System Board of DuPage County to the Adams County for an amount of $56,000.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Schwarzy.
Aye.
Member Tonatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill, Member Childress,
Sorry, yes.
Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
Aye.
Member Martinez, and Member Ozog.
Okay, thank you, Member Schwarzy. Member Schwarzy in Human Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on HSP 5425, recommendation for the approval of a contract to DuPage Federation on Human Services Reform to provide face-to-face and telephonic interpreter services and translation services to assist clients in community services, primarily for the Senior Services Unit, and to provide American Sign Language services, both for the Finance Department and Community Services, for the period December 1, 25 through November 30th, 26, for a contract total amount of $34,000.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Schwarzy.
Aye.
Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Member Honig. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
Member Martinez. And Member Ozog.
Okay, thank you, Member Schwarzy. We're going to move on to Judicial and Public Safety, and Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For my committee update, I would like to address some of the concerns that we've received regarding the Sheriff's Office purchase of a tethered drone. Drone technology and regulations have come a very long way in the past several years. Some members expressed their concerns about oversight and the use of drones by law enforcement. They worked with the Sheriff's Office to make a few minor adjustments to the drone policy, which is also included in the packet, to spell out state law regarding oversight and data retention. I believe they are now satisfied with the policy. And I trust that they are passing, I don't know, so I made some edits to this. This drone policy is based on Illinois Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act. So this can be found at the ilga.gov website under 725 ILCS 167. So I do encourage everyone to take a look at it. It's actually very restrictive to what you can do with the drone. And this is a tethered drone, so once it's up in the air, it can't go anywhere, and is tethered to its power source as well. The rules of evidence, search and seizure, and the Illinois Trust Act still apply to all law enforcement activities when the drone is in use. FAA rules must also be followed. So that all that information is available at trusted sources. The rule, in compliance with the Trust Act, this drone cannot and will not be used to assist ICE in any of their immigration activities. Here in DuPage County next year, we're going to be hosting the President's Cup, Highland Games, the County Fair. You know, at these events, a drone could possibly avoid a Highland Park type shooting or respond to it, help in finding like a lost child. Drones can save lives. And to assume that there's malice coming from the Sheriff's Office, that's an insult to the men and women who serve the Sheriff's Office. And, you know, you say what you want about Sheriff Mendrick, but there are other people that work for the Sheriff's Office. So I fully support this item, and I would encourage my fellow county board members to do the same. And with that, I move to approve JPSP-47-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Safeware, Inc. for the purchase of a tethered drone for the Sheriff's Office for the period of October 28, 2025 through October 27, 2030 for a contract total amount not to exceed $67,892.25.
Okay, Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, as you guys may remember, the last time we were here with this item, I did move to postpone the vote for 2 weeks so that we could review the policy, and it was because more than a few members of the county board had not read the drone policy, and it had not been placed on the packet or on the sheriff's website at that time. and there were multiple constituents who had contacted me and other District 2 members and other members of the board with regard to their concerns, and they felt that there was some erosion of public trust, particularly because of all the ICE actions happening in our county. And as such, I felt it important to respond to those concerns in such a way as to see if we could look at the policy again and make any revisions as necessary, reasonable changes, nothing drastic. But I was able, as Member Evans had stated, as JPS chair, that we did speak with Dan Bilodeau and Under Sheriff Eddie Moore at length with regard to this policy. And as a result of our conversations, they were willing to make some changes, some clarifications to the drone policy and in compliance with the Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act. And so I just want to note that we have a new draft version that was placed in front of every member. This, for some reason, was not placed into the packet for some reason. The former version was uploaded into our packet. The new version is actually on the sheriff's website and is available for public viewing. They actually had posted the drone policy right after Member Desart had mentioned that this should be on their website. So on page 1, you'll see that the first thing they put in 606.4 is that it says that the program coordinator will ensure office compliance with the Illinois Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act pursuant to 725 ILCS 167 sequis. And if you then move on to page 5, the very last section, this was something that I think one of the speakers, I think her name was Rebecca Hackman, had stated that the sheriff's office had nobody to audit or investigate any violations, allegations of violations of the act or of the policy. And so as such, Dan Bilodeau did decide to change that any investigation, it says on the very end, of any potential criminal violation of this act shall be referred to the Illinois Attorney General's office. And it is pursuant to the Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act as well, where it talks about the Illinois Attorney General's office being that external auditor for this policy. The other thing I want to mention is on page 4 of 606.6, prohibited use. Now, this is what I think is really great about this policy because it actually goes beyond the Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act. It actually does more. And what it does say is that UAS video surveillance equipment shall not be used to conduct random surveillance activities. And 2, this section is actually not in the act, but it is in here in this policy, which I think is great, to target a person based solely on actual or perceived characteristics such as race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, economic status, age, cultural group, or disability, and then also to harass, intimidate, or discriminate against any individual group, to conduct personal business of any type. This is what it shall not be used for, this tethered drone. And in further conversation with the sheriff's office, I noticed that the tethered drone, it doesn't have flight path data, it doesn't have telemetry data because it's tethered. It doesn't require a drone pilot because it is not one of those typical drones that fly around everywhere. And lastly, the data that it does bring in, it's just like body camera footage. That's what it is. So pursuant to all of that, the amount of data that they are getting, the retention and disclosure of all that information, it is just like body camera footage. There are certain exceptions, but generally speaking, all of that data is deleted after 30 days. So all that to say, there was an extensive review of this policy, and I think that it is really reasonable. There are lots of policy clarifications, and I think that it really does show that the sheriff's office was willing to be transparent, to work with community leaders, to address many of the concerns that people had. And I'm just going to say that I wish Sheriff Mendrick had not done what he had done with regard to the social media posts, because that erodes public trust. What we are doing here on the county board and how we are communicating with the sheriff's department, we're trying to collaborate and make sure that constituent concerns are being addressed. This is what we're supposed to be doing. That is our responsibility. That is our duty. And I feel that that is what we did. So I'll be voting yes for this.
Thank you, Member Yu, and I'd just like to commend you for the work that you did with this. For some reason, the majority of the issues came out of District 2 through social media. So I understand you took the brunt of that, and you took it very seriously, and your leadership is very, very much noted on this. Member Honig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to echo what Member Yu said. Me and Member Yu spoke at length with Deputy Chief Billidu and Under Sheriff Moore, and they addressed all of our questions that we did have in the last meeting that we wanted to put forth to them, and they made the necessary changes that me and Member Yu did. We really wanted this in good faith, and they did come back to us, and they added the things that we had, maybe we had some concerns with or issues with, and they really did add those in 606, and then towards the end, and I think for me, the ending in 606.11, compliance with the Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act, was the most important, and adding the investigation of any potential criminal violation of this act shall be referred to the Illinois Attorney General's office. I think that was, I had a few constituents reach out to me, and that was a large consideration that I wanted to take up with them as well, because, as a barrier to that, including that language felt like a safer matter to the actual drone policy. And with that being said, I feel more comfortable that they addressed our concerns, and that we took the time and effort to go through this and give it time to settle and let us all discuss so we could come to a better decision. And so I will be voting yes on this. And also I'd like to echo also what Member Yu said is that for a multitude of issues, we've asked the sheriff to come here and explain himself on a multitude of things, and he has refused to come. And I think that's fair, because if we're going to be, we're going to be, we've been talking about the clerk and having her come and speak on things that we are asking her and she is not. And I think it's fair to also say that of the sheriff, because we have also talked about on this floor about people making social media posts that instill a certain type of reaction. And what I had seen come out of the sheriff's post was, by far something that should not have been said. And especially when we talk about our job on the county board of being good stewards of our tax dollars and talking about making sure that what we do on this county board is talked about in a manner that makes sense to everyone in the community, just like what we talked about, the chair talking about the signs will stay, and I think speaking negatively to that effect on a Facebook post does not help benefit anybody in DuPage County. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too supported Member Yu in the last meeting to postpone the vote, because I had constituents and I also had concerns and questions that I wanted to know about. And I did have a conversation with Under Sheriff Moore, with my colleagues, and I had a number of concerns that were for me and for my constituents as well. I mean, right now there's a lot of fear because of ICE, and I understand the way people are feeling. They are scared. So some of the questions that I had that I talked about was facial recognition. Is this drone going to have facial recognition capability? And I'm going to be going into the details of what the conversation and how the conversation went with me. I'm so happy that we finally have this policy, which is amended. This was not the original, so I wanted it in writing, and we got it in writing right over here. So the questions that I had was facial recognition, what type of drone is it, why is it $67,000, who's a program coordinator, who's going to run this, what's the purpose of it, are you going to be targeting people, is this information going to be available through FOIA, would we be able to do that, and what are the mechanisms of safety and why do we need it? So this is what the answers that I got from Under Sheriff Moore, and also this policy right here, reading through all of it. Number one, there is no facial recognition capability on this drone. It is a drone that is tethered. It goes up 50 feet, so that's not even, that's not a feature on this drone. The price, $67,000, that is the price that is over a 5-year contract not to exceed $67,000. So that's where that comes in. There are, on page 3, there are 9 scenarios where this drone could be used to gather information. It has right here, terrorist attack, search warrant based on probable cause, prevent imminent harm to life, locate a missing person, obtain crime scene and traffic crash scenes, and a bunch of other disaster scenarios and other safety needs. So it's quite specific in what the purpose is and what it will be used for. And let's see what else. And it will be operated not by the sheriff's office. I didn't like what the sheriff said either in the in the social media post, and it does erode the public trust, and that's why they were here today. And I am here to listen. I am here to listen to all my constituents and address their concerns. And I will be voting yes for this because all my questions were answered, and I have this in hand, and it's comforting to know that there is 606.11 on the last page, compliance with the Freedom from Drone Surveillance Act. If this is not complied with, people could get in trouble for violating this act. So it is in here. The prohibited use policy is in here, so this makes me more comfortable, and I will be voting yes for this. Thank you.
Okay, Member Martinez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to, first of all, thank everybody who came and spoke today. Your message was loud and clear. One of the things, and Member you and everybody, I do also appreciate everything that you've done, all the work that you've done to clarify anything regarding to this policy. My biggest concern is on page 3, in where it says that they will use it which is A, to counter a high risk of terrorist attack by a specific individual or organization if the United States Secretary of Homeland Security determines that credible intelligence indicates there is a risk. I think we all know that they determine everything is a risk. So that would negate everything in the policy just by them saying that it's a risk. So for that reason, I am voting no.
Okay, Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to reiterate what I said during JPS last meeting. When I saw the tethered drone purchase on the agenda, I planned to vote yes. I had planned to vote to approve the purchase since many of our municipalities already have drones as a law enforcement tool. But then I started receiving emails and written public comments from our constituents who had concerns, and not just a few constituents. The messages kept coming. I urge the board not to approve the use of tethered drones at this time. Public safety should not come at the cost of public trust. There's been no public information outlining how this drone will be used. I urge the board not to approve the use of tethered drones at this time. My name is Helen. I'm here because public safety cannot come at a cost of public trust. Drones. Those are just a few of the comments that I received. As no policy had been provided in the board packet 2 weeks ago, which might have alleviated some of their concerns, I listened to my constituents and voted to put the brakes on the drone purchase. During the board meeting 2 weeks ago, again, listening to my constituents, I asked questions regarding the drone policy. Deputy Chief from the Sheriff's Office, Dan Bilodeau, greeted my questions with snark, gaslighting, and utter disrespect. Disrespect toward me and disrespect toward the constituents I represent and their questions. Then during last week's JPS meeting, I heard a fellow board member say that it isn't our job to ask questions of the Sheriff's Office purchases and that we board members are not drone experts, so we had no right to ask questions. With all due respect to both, it is exactly our job to ask questions. By the way, the board member who suggested that we don't have the right to ask questions of the Sheriff's Office also said that we don't ask questions of any other offices whose items land on our agenda. In fact, that's literally all we do is ask questions. It's our job. Fun fact, that same board member jokes in good humor when I don't have questions. So I'd like to stop the disrespect when board members ask questions on this issue or any other issue, because literally that is our job. Regarding the tethered drone purchase, I heard from constituents as late as this afternoon asking the board to vote no, so I will be voting no.
Member Krajewski.
Thank you. Question for the state's attorney. If we give elected officials their money and they don't go through our procurement, then we don't really see the stuff in front of us to vote on? And the ones that use it, I know the sheriff and the state's attorney use our procurement, make sure they do things correctly with bids, and that's hence why we see a lot of theirs on our agenda.
If for procurement of goods, the sheriff has to go through the county.
If the elected official doesn't,
statute for
the elected
sheriff.
official doesn't use our procurement, can they just acquire that without coming through? We approve their budget without coming through here?
It depends on if they have internal control over their office and the statute doesn't provide it. The sheriff has internal control of his own office.
But the sheriff uses
the statute provides that for goods and services, the sheriff has to go through the county procurement process.
Okay, so anybody that doesn't go through the county procurement, and that's the way we see a lot of the sheriff and the state's attorney, because they use our procurement. It'd be nice if some of the other elected officials would. That'd be one. Second, I want to thank Member Evans for bringing this forward. I mean, I'm going to support it again. I supported it several years ago when we bought 2 drones. Gave the county board, actually at that time, voted unanimously, but we funded Merit, not only Command Center, but then they did a nice presentation, and we gave them $250,000 to get a couple of drones for their Command Center, which is the Merit that does a lot of basically the former SWAT. But down in my district, 175,000 people, most of the municipalities all have had drones for a couple of years now, and they're out at all their major events. And the mayors I've talked to, they have not had one constituent come, not only before they bought it, but during the 2 years that's been flying over events. Direct quote from one mayor, District 2, police department drone is super effective, especially for bigger community events. I think Member Evans pointed to the Highland Games, and we have the President's Cup coming up. So we're kind of last area in DuPage that doesn't have them. Almost every police department has had them for years, and also are running them at major events and they haven't had any complaints. So again, I'm supporting. I want to thank Member Evans for bringing this forward. But I know she's worked with a lot of our local police departments in the communities that we don't service the unincorporated area with the sheriff. But our sheriff should have them for the events that come in unincorporated areas, because everybody else is using these drones. And honestly, see Chicago right now. I know they're trying to get DuPage and us to join in their acquisition of AI, which used for maybe visitors purposes. You can see how many people leave a sporting event. You can see where they go within the whole state of Illinois. They stopped at this restaurant. They stopped and got gas here, and you got all that data. They can draw a line around here and tell us everybody here and where they went because of these. So I know people are concerned about the drones, but AI right now, and what like City of Chicago is looking to acquire that right now, so they can determine for visitors purposes and who goes where for restaurants, and bringing events in here. They can track that with that AI, and that's carrying this around. People are going to know everywhere you're at. So,
Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was not at the last board meeting when this discussion first came up, though I was at the original JPS meeting and did vote yes on this before a lot of these concerns came from our constituents, and believe me, they are legitimate concerns. I hear loud and clear what the residents are saying about ICE. Certainly with West Chicago being in my district, I've seen up close and personal some of the tragic incidents that have happened there. And I was very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with Member Martinez along with Senator Karina Villa during her press conference denouncing ICE, and I will continue to do that. I will say, as a firefighter, retired firefighter, paramedic, West Chicago Fire Department had or has a drone that they use for such wonderful purposes. Car accidents where people get thrown out of their car, and it looks like there's an accident and there's nobody around, and you think maybe they got up and walked away, yet they're 150 yards away in a grassy field. We've been able to use these drones for that purpose. And as Member Evans talked about, the Highland Park incidents. So it's a struggle for me because I do trust our undersheriff. I don't necessarily trust, I agree with Melissa Martinez, I don't necessarily trust item A because Homeland Security can say there's a risk maybe when there really isn't. But I will sort of cede my vote to members Yu, Honig, and Covert, who really did a lot of research, and they really, they care about this as much as anybody on this board, and they did their research, and they feel comfortable voting yes, so I'll be voting yes also.
Member Galassi.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I know it's very late. I just want to also thank Member Evans for bringing this forward. I do think that drones offer a tremendous amount of benefit for police and sheriffs, and public safety is one of my top priorities. So I really appreciate that Member Evans did the work. I sat in on a few meetings with Member Evans about drones and different police departments, and I fully support this. Thank you.
Okay. Member Eckhoff.
I'll be brief also. 2 or 3 years ago, we had a discussion about why it was costing so much for police officers and sheriff deputies and why the price was going up. And somebody said, what can we do about it? And I said, we'll talk positively about police and the sheriff deputies. So I'm glad that Chair Evans brought that or repeated that tonight when she addressed this issue, because I think it's important that we recognize that we've got great police officers and sheriff deputies. They're the people who run towards the gunfire, not away from it when it happens. So I know it's easy lots of times to maybe look down your nose at police or sheriff deputies in certain times, but I think we've got really good sheriff deputies and police in DuPage County. We're lucky to have them. And I would think if the sheriff, if I remember him right, saying that during the time that he's been sheriff, there hasn't been one complaint about excessive force or something against any of his deputies. So I think that's something to be proud of. So I would encourage you, when you talk about this issue and other public safety issues, to talk positively about the police.
Okay. I just want to share a little different perspective with you. While Homeland Security has rightfully so gotten a very bad, frightening, terrifying reputation, Craig Diekman, who is here, he's in charge of our safety. I want to share with you that I have several times since I've been elected been told of terrorists or issues that were very frightening that Craig was aware of, that he shared with me, that I have never shared with any of you because I couldn't. But I will tell you, I have lost sleep over it. And some of the things that we find out through this would terrify you. And because of that, they find these things out and they prevent them from happening. So two things can be true at once. So while Homeland Security and ICE have been terrorizing our streets and our families, there is good work being done to keep us safe from many, many things that I never wanted to know. And I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't mean that very sincerely. So when you look at the President's Cup, it terrifies me what could happen there in our county, on our county property. And if there's any way, this drone, if you've seen it, it's 50 feet above. You can't miss it. It's not going to be doing anything nefarious, but it may save a life. So I understand concerns. I understand conspiracies. Nobody is more, I shouldn't say that. I can't say nobody, but we're all furious about the ICE situation. But we can't let the horrible prevent us from doing some good. So it has been moved and seconded, I believe. Roll call, please.
Member Evans. Yes. Member Galassi. Yes. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather.
Yes.
Member Honig. Aye. Member Krajewski. Aye. Member LaPlante,
Sorry, aye.
Member Martinez, Member Ozog, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
Aye.
Member Zay, Member Cahill, Member Childress,
Yes.
Member Covert,
Aye.
Member Desart, and Member Eckhoff.
Okay, with 13 ayes, 3 nays, the motion passes. Okay, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on JPSP-48-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to ThinkGuard to provide compliance as a service for the Sheriff's Office for the period of November 11th, 2025 through February 28th, 2027 for a contract total amount not to exceed $38,156.25.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Evans.
Oh, wait. I think we have to roll call.
What? We need a roll call? Okay,
Yeah,
let's do a
'cause
roll
it's-
call then.
Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
Aye.
Member Martinez, Member Ozog, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
Aye.
Member Zay, Member Cahill, Member Childress,
Yes.
Member Covert,
Aye.
Member Desart, and Member Eckhoff.
Okay, legislative, thank you, Member Evans. And on to legislative and Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The chair stole my headline. I was going to tell you that the federal government shutdown is over, which is good news. The Senate approved an agreement to reopen the government, and the House just tonight approved it as well. Now, this deal includes SNAP funding through September 2026. It also provides back pay to federal workers who are furloughed. Now, in Springfield, veto session recently concluded and got a few hot-button issues over the finish line, including mass transit. We heard from the RTA tonight. ICE, legislation countering ICE activity in Illinois, including a ban on civil immigration arrests near courthouses and allowing punitive damages against law enforcement personnel who conceal their identities. Another issue is energy reform, which adds additional battery storage and clean energy investments, an integrated resource plan approved, and more. Now, this is important locally for our county. We've started already working on the county legislative agenda and our priorities for 2026. So here's your call out. If you have any proposals you'd like to include, this is for staff and for board members. Please send them to myself or send them to Evan Shields. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Desart. Okay, Public Works and Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FMP 52-25, recommendation approval of contract of Valdez Supply to furnish and delivery of restroom tissue and paper towels for judicial office facility, JTK Administration Building, the jail on a monthly basis, and as needed for the power plant, Children's Center, Office of Emergency Management, and Coroner's Office for Facilities Management from December 1st, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $104,794.16.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Zay,
Aye.
Member Cahill, Member Childress,
Yes.
Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
Aye.
Member Martinez, Member Ozog, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, and Member Yu.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Member Zay. Stormwater and Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMR 13-25, First Amendment to Resolution SMR 17622, intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Burr Ridge for the Elm Street Culvert Replacement Project for Stormwater Management to extend the contract date to January 31st, 2026. No change in contract amount.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Zay,
Aye.
Member Cahill, Member Childress,
Yes.
Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
Aye.
Member Martinez, Member Ozog, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, and Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 21-25, approval of contract issued to Scares for professional education service with stormwater management December 1st, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Amount not to exceed $235,000. This is the second of three options.
Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 22-25, approval of contract issued to V3 companies on-call professional drainage engineering services for stormwater management from November 12th, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $75,000.
Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 23-25. Approval of a contract issued to Water Well Solutions, Illinois to furnish all equipment, labor, material, tools, and supervision necessary for well cleaning at the Wooddale Itasca Reservoir for stormwater management from December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026. Amount not to exceed $181,889.
Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Whatever.
I haven't even started yet, but that's all right. Move on SMP 24-25, contract issued to WPK Engineering for engineering services for stormwater management from November 12th, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $60,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Zay.
I got one more.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving SMP 25-25, approval of contract issued to Civil and Environmental Consultants for on-call land surveying for stormwater management, November 12th, 2025, November 3rd, 2026. Contract amount not to exceed $50,000.
Okay. Leave is granted. Thank you,
Madam
Member Zay. Okay, technology and Member Colbert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For committee updates, the IT department will host Insights and Innovations Day in DuPage County on December 17th at the 421 Building Auditorium. The DuPage Insights and Innovation, I&I, event aims to bring together municipal, county, state, and court leaders to explore practical, forward-looking solutions through technology, focusing on AI, automation, intranet updates, and community engagement. The event will highlight how DuPage County, along with organizations such as the City of Addison and the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts, uses technology to serve its communities. It features breakout sessions, discussion panels, product demonstrations showcasing real-world AI applications and roadmaps, as well as an AI workshop. This promises to be an informative, engaging, and forward-thinking event. Another successful municipal technology roundtable was held last Thursday, covering topics such as federal policy impacts on technology funding and programs, updates from the Illinois Chief Information Security Officer on cyber initiatives, grant opportunities for municipalities, lessons learned from our April cyber incident, and related tips. Updates on other relevant issues were also discussed. We continue to see strong participation from municipalities in these meetings and enjoy effective collaboration on technology across DuPage County. Finally, I want to congratulate the IT department, VG Ramaswamy, Shanita Thompson, and their teams for planning and execution of the DuPage County mainframe shutdown. The mainframe will be shut down on Friday, November 28th. This is a major milestone and a remarkable achievement for DuPage County. Thanks also to all the departments and agencies that supported the process. And with that, I'd like to move on TE-P0018-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Verizon Wireless for wireless tablet and machine-to-machine services for the Sheriff's Office, Division of Transportation, Stormwater, and Public Works for the period of November 16, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $33,510, contract pursuant to the Governmental Joint Purchasing Act.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Covert.
Aye.
Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Member Honig. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
Member Martinez. Member Ozog. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. And Member Childress.
Okay,
Yes.
Member Colbert.
Thank you. I'd like to move on TE-P-19-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order of CDW Government for a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement for all Microsoft software and Azure Cloud services for GIS and information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028, for a total contract amount of $4,095,838.65 contract pursuant to Governmental Joint Purchasing Act.
Leave is granted. Member Covert.
Thank you. I'd like to move on TE-P-20-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to BDO USA LLP for the annual software maintenance of Fire Eye security software for information technology for the period of December 10, 2025 through December 9th, 2026 for a contract total amount of $189,409. This is the third and final optional renewal per lowest responsible bidder.
Leave is granted. Member Covert.
Thank you. I move on TE-P-21-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to She International Corp. For an enterprise term lease agreement with Adobe Systems, Inc. for Adobe software licensing for use by DuPage County and the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County for information technology for the period of December 10, 2025 through December 9, 2026 for a contract total of $155,994.59 contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act. The Forest Preserve will be charged back for their portion of this purchase.
Leave is granted. Member Covert.
Thank you. I move on TE-P0022-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to MHC Software, Inc. for annual maintenance of the enterprise content management system that integrates with the ERP system for finance and human resources for information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total amount of $91,930.60, not suitable for competitive bids.
Leave is granted. Member Covert.
Thank you. I move on TE-P-23-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order of Critical Power Solutions Group, LLC, for the procurement and delivery of an Eaton uninterruptible power supply for information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total amount of $83,748 per lowest responsible bid.
Leave is granted. Member Covert.
Thank you. I move on TE-P-24-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Granicus LLC for annual support and hosting of Legistar legislative management software and streaming services for information technology for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a total contract amount of $45,066.22 per cooperative purchasing agreement pricing.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Covert. Okay, Transportation and Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of item 252680, amendment to DTR 79A23, rescind prior approved local public agency agreement due to change in project cost participation, and approve updated local public agency agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for County Highway 9 Lamont Road and County Highway 31 87th Street, estimated county cost $4,591,614.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Ozog.
Yes.
Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
I'm sorry, yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Member Honig. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
And Member Martinez.
Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 3425, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois State Toll Highway Authority for certain portions of bridge improvements of the Ronald Reagan Memorial Tollway I-88 and its crossroad bridges with a total estimated county cost of $1,857,217.06.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 3525, agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois and Oxcart Permit Systems, LLC, overweight, overdimension permitting services as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2029. No county cost.
Leave is granted.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Okay, leave is granted. Thank you, Member Ozog. Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to old business. Anybody in old business? Okay, Member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair. I know finance was a while ago. Oh my gosh, hours ago.
But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the one item that we had to take off of the county board agenda, and that was a request by the county clerk's office for an amount of $268,159 that failed at finance. But there was a good discussion in finance about, I believe, fiscal mismanagement, and actually also items that could be budget line transferred to actually pay for some of this money. It makes me very concerned of what's going on in the clerk's office in terms of account management. I do want to thank the finance department, which has been a great help to me and all the staff in terms of trying to figure out the ins and outs of figuring out what road they're going down at the clerk's office and trying to follow that. And I wish that there was more collaboration between the clerk's office and the finance department. It does make me a little concerned because I know that the election equipment, which we did approve, I think Member Zay brought that up, the hard equipment, is up for renewal, and I don't believe that they are working with our procurement office right now, and so I don't know where that renewal is right now. So if I can just kind of put that out there, that I would love when the clerk does come back, hopefully for another request, that they also bring information about where the renewals are in the HART renewals for our election equipment. So thank you very much.
Member Eckhoff.
Madam Chair, we had a lot of discussion tonight from both the residents, and you spoke about the signs that were put up around the county. And I know there's disagreement among board members about whether or not we should have considered that issue and what the last resolution stated. But I thought that you called what's on the sign a pledge, and I call it a political statement. And I don't think, even though there's no one's name on the sign, you said that, this shows the county board's political pledge, and I say political statement regarding this issue. And regardless of whether or not we agree or disagree with that the sign should exist, I don't think taxpayer dollars should be going to create a political statement. And I don't think public property should be a place where a political statement is placed. So, fine, have a sign like that, but I don't think it should be on county property. When it's election time on Manchester Road, there's political signs all over the place. Scott McKay's out there taking them down every day. So regardless of what your position is on the issue, I don't think the sign should be made with tax dollars, and I don't think they should be put on public property.
Okay. Anybody else in old business? Member Kajewski.
Just real quick, because I know we had some residents talk in here regarding something that happened Friday. I did hear from the sheriff's office there was a legal arrest, traffic violation, a false ID, but
that was not what they were referencing.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what the deputy sheriff sent to me. I'm just asking if we could get somebody to give us what actually happened. I don't know.
There's actually a video if you'd like to see it.
Okay, that's fine. I just asked somebody to, because I'm not on social media. I'm just telling you, I asked the deputy sheriff.
It was all over the news.
Okay, well, I asked the deputy sheriff, and that's what I was told. I'm just asking if that's not true, that's not true.
Yeah, it was on Channel 9 News, and there's a video. I can send it to you.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see it on the news, not on social media. I heard the person talk, so I'm trying to find out what's true, what's not true. Because, we had a couple meetings ago, it was a kidnapping two people, and then it turned out that they were robbed somewhere the night before, and they were detainers. Again, I just would like to have the information so I know what actually is true and what is not, because we hear a lot of stuff like we heard today and last meetings, and people don't have all the information we have. I clearly don't have it on this, so I'll reach back out. I'll be happy to send me that. I just
happy to get
like
that
to know
to you.
what happened, because I heard there was a false ID provided again. I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, that's what they're saying across the street. That's why I just got sent to me. So.
Yep. The window was smashed in by ice, so we can show you that video. No, unfortunately.
That's fine. I'm just telling what they were sending me. So.
I know. Okay, member you.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I just want to correct the record that person was coming out of a courthouse. He had a speeding, some kind of citation. It was a civil case, and He was not coming out of jail, because I think that was the original rumor. And literally, ICE agents came and broke the window, like you stated, and they had no judicial warrant, at least not that they stated or presented. In any case, they were masked. So it was, I consider that a kidnapping of somebody without judicial warrant, basically. Anyway, I actually wanted to ask about House Bill 1312. And do you happen to know if our lobbyists are keeping tabs on whether or not that is how close it is to passage in the Senate? If we can kind of.
What, are you referring to the 1,000 feet from the courthouse?
Yes.
So that's passed both chambers. So
it's passed both chambers.
It passed both chambers,
So
and
is it about to? Is it's going to be signed by?
it will go to the governor's desk, and
Lovely.
once he signs, it becomes law. So
That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, for the
Thank
record,
you.
our signs, while they went up before they passed through that legislation through the House and Senate, would reinforce what the state is trying to do. Member Ozak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go back to Member Deacon Garcia's comments about the Hart Intercivic, the machines for the renewal of that contract. My understanding is that contract was approved by us some time ago. I'm not sure of all the renewal situation, but the clerk's office took it into their office now. So as Member Garcia pointed out, we don't know what the situation is with that. But what I want to make a comment about overall is that one of the clerk's big complaints, which led to these lawsuits, et cetera, is that we were trying to tell her how to spend her money. And we were never doing that. We were simply, we allocate the money, and we were looking for basic budget reporting, et cetera. And yet now, we have now gone into that sense of micromanaging something because we have no idea what's really going on. And this is our elections. So we really need the clerk to become far more transparent. We need to know we're constituents, and we deserve to know that everything is going smoothly leading up to the March 17th primary and the November election beyond. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, in terms of taxpayer dollars being used for the signs, I'm incredibly proud of the 3 AAA bond ratings that we have here in DuPage County and the work of this entire board. And I just want to state that it was my decision to put those signs up. It's my right to put those signs up, and those signs will stay. Okay, new business, anybody? Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you mentioned it at the beginning of this meeting, the concern with food insecurity, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. You know, 70,000, almost 70,000 DuPage County residents receive SNAP, and even though the government opened today, it's going to take weeks to get that, to get those benefits back into the hands of those people. And food is not retroactive. The money might be, but in the meantime, they have no way to go purchase food. And so I'm gonna offer. I'm gonna be looking for consensus on 2 things. And just for the record, I talked to Mike Cavallo, who's in our audience today, the director of Loaves and Fishes. Last week, Loaves and Fishes had 11,524 residents come through in 1 week for food, which is the largest week in Loaves and Fishes history. And I've also had conversations with the Northern Illinois Food Bank, and they're giving me the same thing. It's not everybody that's on SNAP used to go to food pantries. And we already know how busy and how overloaded the food pantries have been just with the cost of living and so forth. And now we're adding tens of thousands of people who are not receiving their SNAP benefits. So I know that the chair, in her leadership for food insecurity, she's been wonderful. She has at least $2 million in next year's budget, but we need to act now. I mean, we need to act tomorrow, I'll be honest with you. And so I had this discussion with the Human Services Committee. We have $2.1 million designated for small human service grants, 26 and 27. The consensus at our Human Services meeting was to take that 2.1 million and move it out of its ARPA interest already designated to move it into a food line item. And to be fair, it was a 5-1 vote. Member DeSart shared her reasons that she decided to, she wanted to continue supporting the small service grant. But the other 5 of us decided we'd like to see this moved into food, and by all rights, we need it now. So I can give you more statistics if you need it, but I would like to maybe hear from anybody else, maybe people that were on the, okay, go.
I think it's important also to mention that this money will be drawn down. It's not going to be just given. So as it's needed, it will be used, and it is definitely needed. Member DeSart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am begging you not to do this. Please don't do this. I mean, as Mary Keating said during Human Services, this is just a Band-Aid. This is just a Band-Aid. It's going to be gone. Now, here's my argument on this and why I'm asking you not to do this. You know the old saying, you could give somebody a fish to feed them for today or teach them how to fish and they can eat for forever. And I'm asking you not to do this because the small nonprofit grants provide so many other things: mental health issues, resume writing, interview skills, job training, interview clothing, Dress for Success. People's Resource Center has a whole closet where you can go in and pick up something to interview. I mean, Ollie Gardens has gardens all over the area, and they're starting a new initiative where they're having people all over our communities grow produce in their own gardens, and then Ollie will take it to places like Loaves and Fishes. I mean, this $2.1 million for the small nonprofit grants does so much for our community, including food insecurity, including job training, including Dressing for Success. It does so much more for our community than feeding people for a day. Now, I know you're going to say, the people need the food now. They do. And you know what? They're going to need the food in 6 months as well. Right now, with the SNAP benefits cut, by the way, with the government approving the opening of the government, they now say SNAP will be paid through 2026. September 2026 at this point. So what happens in October 2026, the need will be just as great. One of my arguments also is that right now when people that, TSA, air traffic controllers, all those people being furloughed, plus the SNAP benefits being cut before the government reopened, my argument is that people, restaurants, individual people have called me and asked me where to donate money, which food pantries or food insecure places. I'm sorry, it's getting very late and I've been up since 2:30 for my other job. But, places to donate food, places to donate money, restaurants, other people are very generous right now. It's kind of like the holiday thing where around Thanksgiving and Christmas, people are very generous. And then at July 1st, they forget that people are out there and still need, food and clothing and shelter and all of that. Right now, people are getting help. And, in 6 months or a year, or like I said, October of 2026, we'll need other avenues to help them. And then that $2.1 million will be gone. Boom. And again, as Mary Keating said, it's just a Band-Aid. And I'd rather not do just a Band-Aid for our community, but spread that money out through our small nonprofit grants to help the whole community. That's my argument. Please don't do this. We need our small business grants to provide mental health and food and clothing and interview skills, and I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to stop. But please don't do this. Our small nonprofits throughout the area needs this money as well. Thank you.
Okay, Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we're passionate on this issue, but at 10:35 at night to get this brought to us, I think, without more information, I think we need to get more information before we do a consensus or anything like that. I'm sure we can find a middle ground on this at that point, I mean, we talk about SNAP, the government reopened, we have the holidays here. I think we just need to take a little more time to look at. I'm not saying no or yes, but I think just having a statement on the board floor and then changing policy on this just late at night, I think we just need more information, something written up, what their ideas are, what they want to do with that money before we move forward. And we're moving into a new budget year, $2 million already appropriated for food. So, I mean, again, I know a lot of these small organizations really depend on some of that money. So maybe we can find a middle ground somewhere where we can still fund some of it and use some of it towards the food. But I think we need more information before we need to move forward.
Member Galassi.
Thank you, and I'll be quick because it is late. One thing I did want to mention is when we talked about this in Human Services, I just wanted to make sure that the money would be spent throughout the county because I was concerned it would just, I just didn't want it just to be Loaves and Fishes because that's a difficult location for many residents in the county, and so it will be evenly or distributed across the county. And I do, whether it's a Band-Aid or whatever the name is that we want to use for it, I do think that utilizing this money to feed the county now as soon as we can is a critical decision. So I will be supporting this.
Okay, Member Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too agree 100% that this money needs to be used for food. We talk about grants and everything. If people are hungry, that is something that we can help them with right here and now. So I 100% support moving this $2 million.
Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to be clear. I understand that Mary Keating might have said that this is a Band-Aid, but I think she also is on board with this $2.1 million being moved into food insecurity. Is that right, Member Schwarzy? Yes. So yes, I'm in support of this as well. Also because on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food is the very, very basic need. You can't get past that, actually.
Okay, Member Kujewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no problem, giving the money for food insecurity. We are a non-home rule county, so we can't raise taxes. We can't pretty much do anything. So we got a limited amount. But I would encourage us to partner. I mean, Springfield just raised a bunch of taxes. They don't do any efficiencies. Our local communities here, Downers Grove, Naperville, they're all home rule. They, add an extra quarter cent here. They're adding 1% more food and beverage tax. I would encourage our intergovernmental, Andrew again, another one, but to go in our intergovernmental chair, if we could go to the mayors and the county too and get the villages to participate. Everybody comes asking us for money. We're not home rule. They raise their taxes for sales tax. They raise them for income tax or for food and beverage, et cetera, and get them to potentially help out too. And then I would be selective in who we give them to. We have a lot of food pantries, some more efficient than others. So I know Loaves and Fishes is very good. People's Resource Center, they're very large, but we can try to work with one because a lot of food pantries are just popping up. But if we can work with the ones that are major that know how to get it out there and partner with the communities, but I think we can help get some other towns involved too. But I'm fine with giving out money. I think we could probably do both, as Member Zay said, some kind of middle ground. But clearly, we're not going to use it all in the first few months. But thank you.
Okay. And just really briefly for the record, there's a very well thought out, data-driven plan that we can share with you that I think will make you feel much better and how it will be spread out throughout the county. It's not just going to one entity. Member Garcia.
One thing, first of all, food is something that everyone needs, which everyone has talked about here. It is a critical need right now, and I am really going to call, if we can call the question on this and see if we can get the consensus on this now.
It's a consensus.
Can we call the consensus then?
Well, Member Martinez and Member Heather would like to speak briefly, so go ahead, Member Martinez.
So it's just consensus to move forward to discuss it, we're not voting anything yes or no.
No, it's just, is there consensus to move
discuss,
forward with this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it'll still has to be voted on.
Got it.
Member Heather.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Oftentimes, Naperville is used, oftentimes the name of Naperville is used to say that in those areas the need doesn't exist. But as someone who has worked very closely with the school districts, I know that, especially in 204, more than 20% of our students are free and reduced lunches students.
So my concern right now is that these students that are already dependent on their schools for lunch, to be able to feed at least once a day, and on top of it, we add the burden of SNAP being taken away. I just cannot imagine students showing up to schools hungry, and food is the most basic right, and I'm in support of that for that reason. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll do a consensus, but before we actually would take a vote, we will make sure that you see the data-driven plan that we have, and also it's important to state that this money will be drawn down on as needed. It's not like we're writing a check for the full amount. So do we have consensus? Okay. Yes, we have consensus. Okay, I'm informed we do not have anything requiring us. I know you're all disappointed. So I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting of September, session to Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 at 10 a.m. for the passage of a property tax levy pursuant to 35 ILCS 200-18-10. This meeting of September session is adjourned till Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Good night, all.